Welcome to the workshop for Pinellas County. Don't even know the date today, August 29th. I'd like to begin by thanking our two deputies, Deputy Stopper and Deputy Butterfield, for being here, like they are for every other meeting. We appreciate their support and their public service. So if we want to get started, Barry.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. First up, we want to give you an update of where we're at with our new government campus. And so I'm going to invite CBRE, led by Leanne Korst, up, and they'll kind of give you an update where we're at. It's a work in progress. There's some areas where, we're taking a little more time, but it's a deliberate process because, we don't want to just design a new building based upon old business practices. We really want to get everybody together to find efficiencies, look at the way we're doing business before we start designing buildings. But with that, I'll turn it over to them, and away they go.
Thank you. Good morning. Leanne Korst, and I'm responsible for CBRE's Southeast Region Government Practice. We appreciate your time today and look forward to providing you with an update of the activities since we were last before you. So a lot of names on this page, but these are the core team members. A few are with us here today. Michelle Ferguson with Raftalis, Bob Peck with Gensler, and Robert Shaw, who's the owner's rep for the project. And you'll hear from each of them in just a little while. And I just mentioned their names, but that they are other consultants with various subject matter expertise. The scope of services that we have been undertaking since we were last before you are all related to process improvement to help inform what the space needs to function like in the new facility. So again, you'll hear from Raftalis and Gensler in just a little while. But a lot of effort's gone into finding efficiencies, not just taking what you have and replacing it with space, but really understanding how your organization functions and needs to over the next 50 years, really. It's a generational and transformational project. So where we have been, you all voted and selected the site on ICOP Boulevard. And importantly on this page, the City of Largo approved an ordinance just last week to allow for government office use. And with that, I will turn it over to Michelle to talk about the organization and process review.
Good morning. As Leanne said, my name is Michelle Ferguson, and I'm with Raftalis. We are a local government management consulting firm, and the folks who have been part of this team are all folks who have worked for cities and counties before. And so part of our task was really to understand operationally how the functions that will be housed at the campus will work together, and where there are efficiencies to be created. As Leanne said, this really is a once-in-a-generational opportunity. And so looking for those efficiencies, but also ensuring that the site, the facilities are designed in a way that really maximize the constituent experience. So putting ourselves in the perspectives of the folks who will be using the services at the new facility, what their experience will be like. And so in order to do that, we've spent some time touring all of the 14 properties that are in Clearwater right now, really inventorying the functions that currently exist in those spaces today, understanding how operations within those functions work, and really looking for places for efficiency so that you ensure that when the facility is designed, it's done so in a way that maximizes the space, but also takes into account not just the employees who will be working there, but certainly the community that will be accessing the services at the site. A part of the way that we've gone about doing this is to process map, develop actual maps of how workflows, of how people engage with services here now in Clearwater, but then thinking about how that might look differently in a new space. And so we've gone through, and you see on the screen there just an example of a number of the process maps that we've done to really walk step by step what it looks like if somebody comes to one of the facilities to access the services that are currently provided in Clearwater. We focus that process mapping on development review. Obviously, that's a primary way in which your constituents, your residents are accessing services in Clearwater now through development review services. Obviously, utility services, particularly customer billing, paying their utility bills, and then the clerk's services. A lot of foot traffic happens right now in downtown Clearwater, accessing services out of the clerk's office. And so we focus, right now, we've been focusing on those areas that have a lot of foot traffic, but also understanding other ways in which the community can access those services. Overall, just very briefly on the development review process, again, as I said, they have been, the folks who are involved in development review have spent quite a bit of time really maximizing the efficiencies that can be gained through online access, using electronic access for services, but certainly there are a number of needs to come to a facility to go ahead and process your development review work, and so we're looking at ways in which that can be optimized. We've also looked at utilities, particularly customer service related to utility bill paying. Wanting to locate that in a place that is accessible to the public. Certainly people can, as you all know, can pay their utility bills online, but when people do come in person, making sure that that's an experience that will be easy for those people who are choosing to pay in person. And then I mentioned too that the clerk's office obviously has a high degree of foot traffic. While a lot of the work that they do is accessible online, we also know that a lot of people choose to come in person or need to come in person, and making sure that when they do so, they do so in a way that is easy and convenient. Right now, the layout of the buildings in Clearwater doesn't allow for the most efficient use of space, and so by mapping some of those processes, it helps inform what the program will look like ultimately to create a more efficient use of space. So speaking of space, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, my name is Bob Peck. I am with Gensler, a worldwide architecture planning and design firm. Also with me today is Bonnie Toland, who is a strategist with our firm. As Leanne noted, we have done some interviews with close to 30 of the county agencies who we anticipate will be moving to the new County Services Center. We are going to be integrating the work that Michelle is doing on some business process changes, but we have so far translated our interview findings into a space program that I think you all have been told about before. We have laid that program out in 3 different scenarios on the site that the county has selected. I can't emphasize enough that the scenarios I'm going to show you are all still very conceptual. There are lots of things to be worked out. But based on the program we've seen and best practices, as I said, we've come up with square footages and also adjacencies between different agencies so that we have figured out how they can work together. Driving all of the concepts you're going to see were a couple of major factors. One is we want a one-stop, convenient, and welcoming center for constituents, county citizens to come to. A workplace that supports an effective and high-performing county workforce. A right-sized county center taking advantage of changes in business process and best practices in government spaces. And finally, an attractive presence on Ulmerton to announce the center and also create a stimulus, hopefully, for nearby development in Largo. The site is central to the county. It provides sufficient space both for current needs and for some growth. It's close to public transportation and the Pinellas Bike Trail. And finally, we show, you are going to see that we are still working out a lot of transportation issues, including the potential for maybe a new light at Ulmerton and ICOT, but all of that is to be determined. One thing I want to go back to, and you can see on the bottom of this slide, common to all of the scenarios, we've laid the site out into 3 different buildings. Justice and recording, a couple of agencies that work together, including the courts, and administration. They share a common secured entrance in a building you'll see is laid out in slightly different ways, but mostly in an L shape. And development services in a separate 2-story building because they get their traffic is sort of a separate clientele, and we can be more efficient on the site by putting them someplace else. So here's, we have 3 different options. I'm going to say 3 times. really conceptual. We're still working through them. The differences I'm just going to point out, as you can see here, the Justice and Records Building is on Ulmerton. Admin is on ICOT. The Development Services Building is also on ICOT. We have 2 vehicle entrances here and a surface parking lot. It's a long site. So one of the things that we are considering is how far people have to walk, where can visitors park so that they don't maybe have quite as long a walk as employees every day. And then finally, you'll see on the top here with the green is possible future county use and a connection to the trail. This also shows a bus stop on ICOT. We're working out, you'll see in each scenario that pink dot, and it moves around. And the second one, we've put the admin building on Ulmerton, which it's a little bit shorter a building, allows for some green space on Ulmerton. The courts and admin building goes on ICOT. 1 vehicle entry in and out. We're still looking to see what's the most efficient way to do that. We have provided, here we propose structured parking. I guess it's a good time to say we can mix and match these things. Structured parking saves us space on the site, allows us to have more space for future growth, maybe some more space for central plazas and things like that, that could be a nice amenity for employees and visiting citizens. Structured parking is a little bit more expensive than surface parking, so there are going to be some budget factors here too. There's, as I said, single vehicle entry point here. And then finally, a smaller structured parking facing ICOT, some surface parking on the other side, on the Leisure World side of this. And then again, we've put the Justice Building on Ulmerton. Again, this could move around. The Development Services Building on this plan is in the middle of the site. We're playing with that. We're wondering if the vehicle and pedestrian circulation will work better. And you can see that the future growth comes into a different area. In this one, we're also trying that pink dot. The bus stop has moved into the site. We have to talk to PSTA about that. Now, I guess it's important to note, we're still talking to Florida DOT, PSTA, and we got to figure out where everything can go. So that's where we are. I'll be happy to answer questions about it in a little bit. And then, Leanne, you got to talk.
Thanks. So we are referring to the site as your new campus, but something we wanted to just touch on today is you have a naming opportunity. So we've thrown out a couple of ideas, that are pretty basic ideas here on this slide, but going into the future, certainly as we consider construction and delivery, you'll want to think about what you want to call your new campus. So part of the relocation is also then redeveloping the sites in downtown Clearwater, monetizing them with both taking advantage of the land value as well as future tax revenues. And Gensler has also taken a look at some various scenarios and considerations regarding downtown. So back to Bob.
I should just emphasize, we're looking at, as you may recall from your discussions before about the project, and as Leanne said, that the idea is as you all vacate the facilities here, they become available for development in Clearwater. We have really just dipped our toes into this part of our work, but we've taken a look at depending on how you count, 14 or 16 properties. A couple of them are separate facilities on the same site. There are two major ways we're looking at that we could market the properties to developers, and again, we'll be doing this very much in cooperation with CBRE, which has the expertise on the real estate market and what works best. In this case, as you can see, we've got 3 fairly sizable cores that the buildings separate themselves into. And this one bundles the way we bundle the properties. We think it could be appealing to larger developers. They have an opportunity to do some placemaking. Placemaking means, creating a sense of a hub, a retail, residential, entertainment hub that they can really sort of control themselves a lot of what's going on. That could be attractive to certain kinds of developers. On the other hand, we can divide it into smaller sites, might be more attractive to smaller development entities, not quite as big a gulp in putting investment into the site. It could also mean that some of the properties might move faster because there are more people looking at them, there are more opportunities to do different kinds of things. And this is something still to be worked out of how we do it. But what you can see is we're looking at what's nearby. We're trying to, with CBRE, look at this through a developer's eyes to see how will they see these things? What are the opportunities to create a lot of vibrancy in downtown Clearwater? And the final thing I'll note is that we do have an opportunity, as soon as we get a little bit more detail on the construction on the Largo site, we will be able to start marketing some of these things, because once we have a schedule for when people are moving out, we can move into the foreground some development RFPs out there, and there are still lots of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, but we think there are some great opportunities here. I should also note that we are working with the city to talk, and the county, obviously, to see what the development potential is on these sites. So when we market them, people will have some idea of what they can build to and what kinds of uses they can put on the site. And speaking of when.
Good morning. Again, my name is Robert Shaw. I work as a owner's rep on behalf of CBRE, focusing on the administration services around design and construction management. So at the beginning of this project, we produced a schedule for Barry, and we are still on that schedule. As you can see in front of you, the 2024 Q1 through 4 there is the visioning and process review service. A lot of the information you just heard today from both Raftillis and Gensler. So our future, looks into design services from an architect, and then, hopefully a construction start sometime in early 2026 and completing in 28. We think that's a very conservative schedule. We'd like to improve on that, but that's where we're at. So we're sticking with our original assumptions and predictions we gave to Barry. So that about wraps up the presentation.
Barry?
Yeah. Well, after they're done.
So just to put a bow on it, a lot of stakeholder collaboration. You can see from the slides and from what the team has shared. There's a lot of thought going into how services are delivered, how occupancy materializes in the new facility. And we've completed, I think we've checked a few good boxes over the course of the last few months, in particular the Largo ordinance and the good work that you've heard today. So with that, we're happy to entertain any questions.
So, Commissioners, hopefully you're going to see some of these pieces come together. One of the things we want to do is a charrette with you, but I think you need a little more information. We need to understand whether we're going to have a light on Elmerton or not. We need to understand PSTA and what a bus stop looks like and things like that. And more importantly, we need to understand some of the efficiencies within the building. We've got areas like we have some public works people that are currently within these buildings. Well, does it make sense to put them over into the new campus, or should they really go out on Drew Street in the future when we're able to actually do some construction and replace some things out there? So we put them into rented space as an interim mode. So we're still working out what exactly belongs in there and the way in which that will work. As we bring those types of pieces of information together, some of the efficiencies and things like that, then we want to bring that back and really have a very detailed discussion with you, more of a charrette style, where we can engage on how best to start that design. And so that's going to come together pretty quickly this fall. And so we're looking forward to that. There's been a lot of different pieces where you're just kind of waiting to get the details back, and the efficiency study's a key piece to that, but also some of the other partners of getting information from there. So you'll see more, and I think you'll see more pretty quickly, but to be able to make good decisions, we need a complete picture to where we can have those detailed discussions. So I wanted to stress that, and I give you that as an example. They kept putting up a light there at our entrance to our facility. Well, I don't know that we're going to get a light. You've got a light at ICOP Boulevard, and I'm not sure whether they're going to permit it or not. Well, if they don't, that's fine. Okay, we'll still have that left turn that can come into the site, but we may want to do some interior circulation improvements with the campus just to improve customer experience, to where they're not driving around ICOT trying to find the county building, And so those are some of the details where until we get through that process, we really can't answer exactly how that would work. So that's just one example of several.
Commissioner Lettville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is more of a question for Barry. When we discussed this, we talked about doing a phased build-out and then a build-out all at once. Is the 2020 date, I assume that would be if we did all of the buildings at one time?
Yes, that would be all the buildings at one time. And depending upon the piece, we could, there's certain pieces that, you know, we could move and then stay in these buildings longer or not. I'm not sure it makes sense, but we can look at those. I think that's part of the charrette, that we can have those types of discussions. So we're still working on that. And he even showed you how would we repurpose this site? Because the revenue generated from the value of the land at this site went into the pro forma on selecting the new site. And so that would come into play also about just simply cash flow.
Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'm sure my colleagues that are on PSTA either have been or will be discussing this. But the way that you have the bus stop that's right there that will be on ICOT Boulevard, typically for public transportation, buses are routed so that they can get to the next stop in a timely manner. The next stop for this is not until you get to 125th, you make a left, and it's there on the corner by Pinellas Technical College, Clearwater campus, and there's a PAR, Substance Abuse Center there. There's no way a bus could even do a turnaround because that street is so narrow to come back out to Almerton Road, so I'm not sure how that would I would love for public transportation to be very close to the entrance because that is true customer service, so don't get me wrong on that. I'm just thinking through travel process. The stop that's right there on Almerton Road, if there were a walk entrance onto the campus from that stop, it would be very close.
Yes.
Because that stop is literally right there, and based on your design, it would be right at the Justice Records entryway. So anyway, just throwing that out.
And Commissioner, on that, you know, that's the reason they're engaging with PSTA. They have a meeting coming up, you know, and we're okay with it coming in and making it more advanced. We'd heard they want to do something more there, or using, you know, our land, but from Almerton to where it's not just stopping out on Almerton, but you can get the buses out of the flow of traffic and actually make it a better site for a bus stop. So we're open to any and all those ideas.
Well, and we have also commissioned a traffic study by Kimley Horn, and we're using that traffic study to help advance the discussions with both PSTA as well as FDOT.
Okay. And the light currently bears at 58th Street, not ICOT.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so close, they may not put a light at the ICOT entrance.
correct.
I used to work there and turn it in, so some days you can zoom right through, and other days it's a lot of traffic coming down Almerton Road, so they may not put a light because it's not even a full block up the road. But you know, you never can tell. My question.
We have heard the concern that the other light is too close.
I'm just asking, why would the Justice and Records Building be so close to Almerton Road? I'm just thinking about what the Justice Department does, and all of us want to be safe, you know, but just thinking about what they do, why would they not be potentially placed more inside the complex for safety reasons?
That's a great question. We do a lot of highly secure government facilities, and you're right, they're going to, I imagine they're going to want a setback. I mean, these are bubble diagrams.
Oh, okay.
So it could, we haven't laid it on the site yet. It could be set back from Almerton quite a bit more. But I think, you know, the federal government rule is 80 feet back from a street. I mean, so it's not that far, and we'll work on that. And there are ways to harden a building without having to have it too far back too. So, but all of that there are a couple of trade-offs. Great question.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation this morning. It's fascinating, all of this that goes on. So just quickly, I saw some of the plans that you've done, and I was just sitting in a really, really important law library meeting. And they wanted to make sure that you have that law library in the building. I didn't see it on your little bubble yet. So, and that's significant square footage, so figure that in somehow. The transit hub that you showed on there seems to be moving towards Myrtle, away from where it is now. So there's going to be some movement on that transit piece. So yes?
We have talked to Chief Judge Crane, and we're going back to talk to him this afternoon. He has brought up the law library. Just want you to know it's on the radar.
I want to make sure it got from there to Chief Judge to you. So it sounds like it's moving.
And the Chief Judge and I are actually going to be going to see a Dade City facility. So we're just kind of in the beginnings of like figuring out the court pieces, and the law library and the historic courthouse is a key component of that.
You pack your lunch on that trip to Dade. So we're evolving, right? That's what I hear this morning. And I at some point like to start seeing those splashes of evolvement on the costs. So it's very early, and I get that, so we start to see how that lays out. And as we move forward, we are incorporating that comfort with cost because this is going to be a big number, and I'd like to start seeing that, and also general methods of payment. So, and I know that's coming from us and that kind of thing, but just as a piece of this, just incorporate that. It feels like the site plans are cramped, and I have no idea. We're very early. It looks crowded, and so it'll be interesting to start seeing some of these when you start laying them down on the drawings, right? Yeah. So you start to see how they fit on the scope of this building. So it's hard to tell. I mean, I would have guessed that the property was more rectangular this way than this way. So it was interesting to find out that we're more rectangular and we're deeper than we are wider, so to speak. So
just to give you kind of the scale, though, from a site standpoint, if we did structured parking, we only need 8 acres, 21 acres. Okay, now, you may not want to build it that way. You want it to be more open and things like that. But so those are some of the trade-offs that we're going to have to discuss with, structured parking and things like that. There's a lot of open space here, and we want to make sure that we hold potential out for future growth, right?
Yeah.
Of whatever the future may bring. So
growth, circulation.
You want it to feel open. You want to have a separation between the main buildings and development services, kind of two different customers. And
so architecturally, again, something that stands the test of time, right? We want something that doesn't,
That's right.
go not attractive in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or something that's here, hot today, gone tomorrow kind of thing. So standing the test of time. So starting to get somewhat familiar with different architectural styles, just throwing them up there so that we start to see things that we grow some comfort in as time goes on. And that relates to the comment about the site plan and the circulation. And this is not just, obviously, for us, it's for our kids and our kids' kids and their kids. So it's going to be a use. So flexibility, obviously, is a big part of it.
And Commissioner, to that point, I know many of you have spent time in Tallahassee, and aging myself, 20 years ago, when I was the director of real estate for the state, the Southwood campus in Tallahassee, where the Capitol Circle office complex is, I think that's a great example of, it's 30 years old now, but it's brick, and the construction was flexible, and it was durable, and it has stood the test of time. So I think that's a great example.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm at least showing those options for us as we start to move that forward. Just again, evolvement is key here. And then, the key on demographic changes that we see happening in the next 20, 30 years, you start to see some of that information, technology changes that are anticipated, because that could be just dramatic. We end up with a building that we only need half the space for some reason. I just want to make sure that we're taking into account those long-range technology things that you all may be seeing out there, as well as demographic changes.
And we actually asked, BTS to be part of this, so they could help us with, because they understand the departments from a technology standpoint. What can we plan for using technology in the future, 5 years from now when this building opens, right? So they're part of that discussion.
Well, when you have the PSTA bus stop, you can put a little helicopter landing pad there too, because we start having all kinds of new technologies coming, and just making sure that we're keeping those kinds of things. And we may not be able to plan in the end for all of that, but at least be thinking through some of those things.
Well, and CBRE is a real estate firm, but this new campus is not just bricks and mortar. It's as much about human resources and recruitment and retention and how you serve your citizens as it is building a building.
Thank you. That says it well. Appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Barry, remind me, have we done an appraisal yet on the Clearwater properties?
On the Clearwater properties?
Yeah.
Yes. Remember, we used that to, we had to do kind of a massing exercise with Clearwater to determine what that potential value would be. And obviously, that's based on what somebody's able to build generates the value of the property. So we have that, and we use that as part of the pro forma in this project.
Okay.
And I can get that to you.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many 1,000 square feet do we have currently in our 14 properties downtown?
500 and
569,000, I believe.
And we're going down to 318,
317,500, yes.
17,500. And that was through the evaluation of all
take.
our personnel use and access now through that study that you went through?
Yeah, and it really speaks to the inefficiencies of your current campus. You have duplicative lobbies and break rooms and restrooms. And so when you look at the way people work, but also look at the inefficiencies of 14 different locations versus one shared lobby and one set of shared restrooms per floor, et cetera, you're able to come up with a lot of those efficiencies. Bob, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but yes, you're able to reduce your footprint significantly and become a lot more efficient in the new campus.
over 50 years, we just kind of grew into space.
Sure.
You know, and so, I mean, literally, I toured some areas in this building where you open it up and you've got a big room and one desk in the back, Why did they move there? Because there was space there, It wasn't designed that way. And so it's an opportunity to right size to one of the things we ask for is to establish space standards for the types of work, et cetera, and stuff, and apply that. And so, we're taking advantage of technology. Well, and just look at the clerk of courts. They put that up there. He has 3 different customer service centers right now. Why? Because he's got 3 different areas of the building where customers come to. So there's real opportunities that won't hurt the customer experience or actually improve it, but it also creates efficiencies at the same time.
And I think Commissioner Latvala brought up we talked about, I mean, I know it's ideal on construction, you do it all at once, the new campus, that makes sense as far as the efficiency of building something new. But being able to shed some of these properties bit by bit, would have been, there's some advantage to that too, downtown. And I've actually had people start already, look at the 14 properties and go, I want that one. Yeah. When are you guys moving out, kind of thing. The other question I had was, are we looking at, and I know this is all very preliminary, but you have 2 3-story buildings, 1 2-story building. I imagine that at some point we'll evaluate that versus 1 6-story building and those kind of things. We'll make those as we get closer.
Yes, and Bob and Robert can speak to the rationale behind it, but once you get into mid-rise versus high-rise construction, a lot of things change, even including fire suppression and that sort of thing. So there is a cost benefit to keeping them low versus mid-rise, but again, Bob?
Well, Leanne basically nailed it, of course, she usually does. The other thing is adjacencies, not making people walk too far to get from one function to another. So, that can sometimes argue for a very compact, tall building, but the difference between being on the same floor is it's often people collaborate more on one floor than another. And we have the advantage of the site to save some money, as Leanne was saying, by putting the buildings into a 2-3 and a two-story package. But it's something we'll be looking at. We really do need to get a little bit more into what are the adjacencies at work. One other thing I'll just note, because it goes to the question about what's changing in public service, and one thing we're paying a lot of attention to, and we've done in some other municipal and county facilities, is that people are now having one-stop shops when you come in the door. You don't have to go to different offices if you're going to the property assessor or the tax collector. If they come here, you know, there is a place where you can have what Apple calls a genius bar, somebody in one place, and that's a space-saving efficiency, and it's much better for citizens too than being told, go down that hall, make 2 lefts and a right, and you might find the person who's going to help you. So we're all looking at this all in terms of efficiency and eventually cost.
Yeah, and I've been in some large cities where it's a city-county building, one high-rise, and the first floor is a nightmare to get around, and all those different functions coming into one spot, and it's not, and again, I know it's all preliminary. Are we looking at other county functions that are not in our downtown? I know you talked about moving public works employees we have here. Are we looking at like economic development, CVB, their functions where we lease space now?
So we have, and we're talking about that, but I'm also very cognizant of scope creep, you know, on projects. There's no question that we could spend a lot of money moving things out to centralized functions out on Drew Street, for instance. So does it make sense to move CBB and economic development in here? Yes, that can be a discussion. But I also want to look at as things that we don't necessarily want to move here. They happen to be down here because we had space, and that's where we put them as that function grew. So yes, we're going through some of those different discussions.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building 318,000 square foot campus, you know,
But the question
to build
is,
another 10,000 square foot.
Do you want them on an interior of a secure building? You know, that's part of the question. You know, and they kind of have that, you know, entrepreneurial type, you know, and that's the reason I think that they're set up that way. But it's a fair discussion, and I think we'll have that, we'll keep that in mind. But also when we do the charrette with you, I think we can put that into the mix.
And then just the last, we talked about the law library a little bit, but have we done a full review of what the limitations are with the historic courthouse?
I haven't.
We have. It was part of the yes. It was part of the massing plan exercise that we did previously. So we do have that information. I don't have it right before me, but we have considered it. Yes.
Commissioner, I also want to address the issue of the phasing of downtown, because I know following this meeting you're going to get, you know, 20 phone calls of, you know, with people with ideas, and I just want to say we're going to do that at the correct time. I'll communicate with you. There's a lot of other issues that the city is dealing with that really need to occur, you know, before we start moving pieces. That creates whether there's a demand based upon interest in the city. So, you know, I'll talk to you individually about that. We're meeting with the city tomorrow. We're working in conjunction with them. So, you know, there's no need for people to be, you know, throwing out ideas. We're not selling, and we're not engaging because we don't have time. Right now, we're focused around this. We're focused around this. At a certain time, you know, we'll put it out as a public process in conjunction with you when you make that decision. But we're not there yet, so please, no phone calls. You know, I don't have time for it.
Commissioner Eggers.
We want the interest. We just want to do it in a measured and disciplined manner when the time's right and the market's ready.
She keeps pushing me, but I'm like, all right, one thing at a time, guys. Okay?
I'm sure
there's a capacity issue.
I'm
okay?
sure CBRE would be ready and willing to help at any time with.
There's some
with that
discussions that we really
process,
need to have with the city, because this needs to go along with their vision, and they're trying to figure that out internally themselves. You know, and so I'll talk to you individually about, you know, some of the things that we're having with the city. So.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I just want to make sure we're doing our thing and
Yes.
keeping them apprised of what we're doing all along the way. So, and just one last comment on the financing piece as we talk about this. I think there's going to be a fixed dollar amount that can be financed for a long period of time and reduce that annual load. But I think a lot of these properties that we're talking about will sell different paces and different times.
Correct.
And there maybe we want to take out a shorter term loan that we can kind of pay off as, you know, just pay directly off as we sell some of these properties. And then we just have that overriding loan that takes care of the, you know, the length of time. But I think those are things that we can look at And just, because it's going to be a real flexible process here. Some of the stuff's going to move quickly, and we don't even know what the environment, the economic environment's going to look like at that time. So, so as flexible as we can be on that. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Commissioner Flowers has follow-up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought about something. Behind the property on Almerton, you have the ice skating rink, which I love. And there are some professional teams that practice there. And I don't know if you've had a chance to go there, but when they do, cars are literally parked along the side, all up into this building, this property where we'll be at. And then you have the school for the blind and deaf behind them. So I'd support what was being said about being sensitive to the height of buildings, to be good neighbors. Because I'm sure you've driven that property, you don't see a taller building, even with the hotel, that's 3 stories. So I'm sure that'll come into a thought process. We want to maximize, I'm sure, but, just being good neighbors in that area as well, because it's a bustling, robust little community with little delis, spas, a bank, all of that good stuff up in there. The other thing I wanted to share, and I'm sure this will come out as you start really getting to the nuts and bolts. Currently, when you walk into even the new facility that we have on 34th Street and 22nd Avenue, where it is combined with the tax collector property appraiser office, the one shop center that sometimes gets a little crowded because a lot of people are coming there. But then once you get inside and you are serviced, it is so busy and so loud because the booth area or the seating areas are, accommodating for a person to be sitting on either side. But then you get to hear everything else that everybody else is talking about. Or it could be some sensitive business or whatnot that they're transacting, and another person is right there next to you. So maybe if some thought process also can go into that to help with sound reduction.
Sure.
I know there are things sometimes you can do within the construction of walls and things that kind of help lower that. But I just know when I've gone there to renew my license or whatever, it's like, oh my God, I'm happy that it's a lot of business going on, but it's just really busy and can get to be a little loud where sometimes you can't even hear what you're saying to the next person. And that may be something of interest. So, and even for whatever floor we're going to be on as commissioners, something where you may not necessarily hear what the other person is saying in the office next to you, verbatim, word for word, so.
Certainly, we can make note of the noise mitigation and think through opportunities to make sure we care for that.
And then, lastly, I don't know if this is something that Barry would be interested in doing, but as we get closer to actually construction and development, maybe just reaching out to the neighbors, the other businesses around in the area, to let them know what's going on, the time frame. Because whenever you're doing construction or rehab, you have large equipment coming in, you have a lot of vehicles, coming back and forth that could or could not impact the traffic, that would typically visit their businesses. And so I think that goes a long way when you're having that conversation up front, so then they can prepare for whatever it is that they need to do or would like to do to assure that their customers can still get to them, turning in onto ICOT Boulevard.
Sure, thank you.
I know it's a ways off, but thank you.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Barry, when do we anticipate having to go out to bond on this? Be late next year, 26? What do we think?
You have a better sense of that? I mean, I've been just trying to get to a conceptual where we're going with it before we started getting into the financing. So I haven't really looked at that. I'll let them speak to it if they have an idea on this.
Our best guess at this point is early 26, based on this high-level timeline.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Eggers, did you have another comment?
Wanted to emphasize the part that Commissioner Flowers brought up from a site development standpoint, that residential neighborhood out to the west.
Yeah.
Making sure that we're because, if this was another development and we were looking to approve we don't do site plans, I keep having to remind me of that. But we make sure that that developer's taking into account what they're doing. So I think what we do for others, we need to at least look at ourselves and do the same. So that interaction with the community and making sure that we're buffering and we're doing all the things that we need to do. I don't want to put a garage 10 feet from the property.
Yeah, and if you go back to the site plans, what we've tried to do is even buffer that west side with parking or lower rise buildings. You saw in the one site plan in the southwest corner, there was green space to help with that buffer as well. But what you shared, those concerns about the neighbor, is also a phasing kind of question, because the longer the construction timeline, the more impact too. So those are certainly good considerations.
Start planting trees on that site. In about 5 years, they'll be
Tall enough.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, well, we'll move on to number 2, the Lilman Community Redevelopment Area Work Plan.
Thank you, and just while we're here, so Robert also is helping us with our vertical construction, so that's a separate component piece, and so that way you have a face with what we're trying to do in improving our construction projects. So I just wanted to thank him because he's been a tremendous help to us on some of these projects.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, guys. All right, next up is Amy Davis. So is this the first time you presented? Yeah. Second, okay. Here we go.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'm happy to be here this morning to talk to you about the Leoman Work Plan for the current year and the highlights, and then the work plan for next year. And then I'm going to be handing it off to the St. Petersburg Foundation to give an update in year 2 in the strategic plan implementation at the Leoman Center. I'm going to go ahead and start. So how the CRA will accomplish its goals are identified by 9 objectives in the CRA plan. And the work plan rolls up into each of these objectives. And so that's how all of it has to be interrelated. So the work plan and the budget mirror each other in terms of projects and implementation of program, and then the work plan rolled up into these objectives. The current work plan has these programs and projects, and so I'm going to give some highlights on how we're doing this year with these programs and projects, and then go into the proposed fiscal year 2025 work plan. So starting off with one of the grant programs, we have 2 of them, is the Residential Improvement Program, and these are for owner-occupied houses. We have the grant limit set at $15,000. They can have a larger project, but we'll only reimburse them up to $15,000. Well, I should take that back. It's a direct payment to them based off of proof of the project being done. For our current forecast, 33 applications were submitted, 22 of them approved. We have some pending, some rejected because they didn't qualify. So far, our total approved applications are at $275,700. and we have 8 projects that are still pending and underway from last year. We also have a commercial program. This is also facade-based, but it can also do some interior improvements as well. This is a matching grant of up to $40,000, and the intent is to bring the properties to current code, to improve the facade, and to also extend the economic viability of the building. We have 5 applications that were submitted, 4 approved, 1 pending. $154,000 is the total approved application amount this year so far, with a few projects pending from the prior year that are currently underway. We also have the Home Improvement Program, of which we fulfill by having a contract with Habitat for Humanity, and they have been working on this contract now. We've had it for 2 years. We just did some amendments to that contract, so now they have another 2 years to the contract, so it's up to a total of a 5-year contract. So 2 years in, they have constructed 30 homes with a total CRA investment of $790,000. The amendment to the contract that was just made allows for up to a $60,000 incentive made up of different, those are potential incentives made up of land incentives, hard construction costs, and potential lien buy down. The one change that we also made with that amendment is that instead of restricting the amount to $500,000 a year, just opening up to the whole contract amount so that they have the flexibility to spend maybe 1 year is $200,000, the next year is $700,000, because the predictability of when the properties become available can be a little difficult. So lending them that flexibility, we feel was a good move. We also have the alleyway improvement program. There's 176 alleys in Leomin. 122 are maintained, meaning that they're clear and they're maintainable by mowing. They may have some trees. We keep the trees, but they are kept at a minimum in terms of the brush around them. We have had a contract that just ended. It was a 2-year contract. We are now in a new 3-year contract with Diversified. The 2 years that we've had this program, there were 68 alleys that had debris removed, and there were 8 alleys that actually were able to change from a partially obstructed to a totally obstructed to a maintainable alley. So we had 8 alleys that actually changed their status. The goal is that by the end of this 3-year contract, I'd like to have all of these alleyways cleared. We also have a sidewalk program to help to fill in the gaps of existing sidewalks. And so this year we finished 39th Street, which was connecting Leomin Park to the Leomin Elementary School. We also had a successful trio of the now annual event. We did have to substitute the 4th of July fireworks for an Independence Day celebration due to Rainieri Park being under construction. But I think everyone could understand why that happens, and we look forward to having the fireworks in the park once it opens. We also have the gateway and wayfinding signs finally completed. I think we were kind of waiting on 3 gateway signs when I first joined the county, and so that has now been completed and all the signs have been installed. We also had 2 signs that needed to be replaced, and so those were done as well. The proposed work plan for next year, this was discussed with the Leomin Advisory Committee, and this is the plan that we are bringing forward to you today, is the plan that was approved by the committee. So in terms of changes to existing programs or projects, these are the changes that were made. So we have the Home Investment Program, which is the contract with Habitat for Humanity. Again, it's no longer limited to $500,000 a year. It's just open for the time period of the contract for the entire contract amount. So they have more freedom between fiscal years to use that contract amount. We reduced the maintenance of gateway wayfinding signs from $25,000 to $10,000. I thought that was a more appropriate number to maintain those signs going forward. If they get stolen or somebody runs them over or just things happen to them over time, we have a way to still replace them. We also reduced the Leomin Exchange Strategic Plan implementation from $200,000 to $175,000 per their contract with the county. We also have an ongoing project, the Leomin Park project. We had $200,000 in this year's work plan, and we're getting one project done by the end of the fiscal year. And then what we have left for next year is the invasive removal and beautification of the pond next to the Leomin Park. So that's the $100,000 going into next year's work plan. And then the expansion of the mural program to a public art program so that we can consider other art installations outside of murals to just be more comprehensive and more flexible. The other thing that's not listed on here because it was deleted is the funding for special events. That was deleted, and they're going to be doing their own sponsorship seeking for those events. We have new programs, and these are the proposed new programs. We have the Joe's Creek Master Plan implementation for $50,000. The program in this year's budget is to kick off the master plan for Joe's Creek, and that's in the amount of $250,000. So this would be a follow-up to make all of the plan amendments needed out of that project. We also added land acquisition in the amount of $500,000. This is not earmarked for anything specific. It's for as opportunities arise. And then the Leoman Exchange Monument sign is something that I really believe would help placemaking for finding the Leoman Exchange Center. This is a picture of the existing sign. It really doesn't grab your attention from 54th Avenue, and it looks more like a government annex building sign that's not open to the public, in my personal opinion. So I think that the monument sign would be a really added benefit for the facility. And then last, there's playground amenities that are in the work plan for shade, seating, and lighting, and some native landscaping enhancements, and that's the playground in the picture, and it's right outside of Rainieri Park. And then demolition funding. We don't have a demolition bucket in our work plan, and again, as opportunities arise, right now we do have access to demolition funding through CDBG fund, but if those run out, this gives us access to some if we need it. And those are all the proposed changes for the work plan, and I'd be happy to take any questions before having the St. Petersburg Foundation come up and talk about the strategic plan at the Leoman Exchange.
Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you. For expanding your mural program to public art, I think that's really good. There are a couple of buildings that currently have art on the sides or the front of the building. It looks really nice, but what's the dollar value that you're requesting to put in order to expand that project? Or are you doing it project by project?
So right now we have $50,000, so we're proposing to keep that the same, just expanding how that $50,000 could be used.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, Amy. So land acquisition, for what specifically?
What was that?
The $500,000 for land acquisition, is that for opportunities of condemned properties, or what?
It could be a number of things. It could be property that's adjacent to existing county-owned property, next to a park, next to a drainage pond. It could be a difficult property, perhaps. $500,000 isn't going to, buy a big piece of property, but it's something to work with, and at least it puts the initiative into the work plan. So if there is something that we would want to pursue that's over $500,000, we would be coming back before the board for a budget amendment. But at least it's already in the work plan, so we don't have to add this whole initiative as a brand-new initiative.
Do we have any specific properties in mind that
Do
were
not.
a target
It's
list?
just
or anything?
it's, as opportunities come up, at least we have it in there so that we don't have to start from scratch.
Have we, historically, is there kind of an average annual land acquisition number that we've had, or was this, just kind of curious how we came up?
So I've been researching CRA work plans. This is kind of a typical, along with demolition as well, a typical entry to put ourselves in a position to be able to react faster. It was not in the work plan, but it was in the budget, and that was an oversight in years past. But we wouldn't have been able to act on it without it being in the work plan. So the work plan is the governing document.
So we've always had something in the budget, but it wasn't in the work plan. So now we're just moving it into the work plan to reflect the budget?
Correct. And it was at $300,000 previously, which I don't think really gets us far today. So I'm recommending to increase that to $500,000.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, thank you. So what are the reserve levels forecasted to be at the end of this year for the CRA?
I want to say it's about $7 or $8 million, but we can get you that specific information certainly before the budget adoption next month. And I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, let me just, I think I might have in the detailed CRA report.
Chris is looking it up.
And just, again, Chris, like what a percentage of the revenues, I mean, how are we on that number as we have all these policies in place for all these different funds are all different, so I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
Well, he's looking that up, I think something to, be considered. I mean, Amy's been on board now, we've grown the CRA, it's a little bit different on the reserve levels because it's kind of a contained fund, but we don't necessarily want to spend them. We want to find big projects that have big community impacts. And, we've done a lot of things that I think are positive forward momentum. but I don't necessarily think we've, really done some things that could have a significant cost impact that may be able to transform the community even more. I don't know what that is, but I
I don't
think.
either, and I don't remember having.
I think that's part of the discussion we need to have, of what that vision, that future vision looks like. This is a work plan, but I think what you're really talking about that aligns with how much money we have is what that future vision looks like.
They're kind of tied together.
Yeah, you get around the stormwater stuff, you get around Joe's Creek Industrial Park, you get around things that have, these aren't $500,000 items, these are multi-million-dollar projects, and I don't think we have a plan for that yet, but I think that is the type of stuff that would be transformative. And so I just want to put that out there because, we have to somehow address some of those issues. To keep those jobs local, we need to make improvements to the stormwater. And so those are things that I think are forthcoming that we haven't even gotten to yet.
Well, and monies generated by TIF can go towards infrastructure for sure, but doesn't mean it's the sole source of infrastructure.
Yes.
County budgets
Yep.
are out there as well. And I just
They
want to make sure that.
absolutely are. Yep.
Yeah,
And I think something like that would be kind of it would be everything. There's no way we can address it. I mean, look at what we just applied for in grants. So we've applied for grants in that area of, 25 million, 50 million, a lot of money. And I think that, some of those require matches and things like that. So I think pennies on the table, CRA dollars are on the table, but it's going to require outside money to be able to make those types of real investments. And that would help connect parts of the community that currently aren't connected.
And any purchases come back here, right?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all.
I do have the fund balance. So on page, in the detailed work plan, there's some financial information. But for the fiscal year 2025 request, we're starting with a fund balance that's estimated at 7.5 million, and the estimated taxes at 4.3. Estimated taxes at 4.3 million and 7.5 million for the starting fund balance.
Microphone, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have 7 to 8 million in reserves.
7,548,000.
Okay.
The starting fund balance. That's estimated because the audit isn't done, but.
And any other questions or discussion for Amy? Lots of money. Okay, that's what we got,
Well,
unless you're going
no,
on,
we have
and
the
you're going
next
to do
piece
more
up
on the
is-
program highlights?
Yes, no, St. Petersburg Foundation.
So I'll bring St. Petersburg Foundation up here. Amy Cianci, who is the project manager and is based out of the Leoman Exchange Center with me, and Joe Hamilton as well.
Good to see you both. And the microphone is where Amy is.
Thank you, Amy. Also with us is Jesse Caraggio from the Community Foundation Tampa Bay. They have been partners with us on this first 3 years of this project. For those of you who don't know or haven't met us yet, St. Petersburg Foundation is in a public-private partnership to operate the Leoman Exchange Community Center based on a strategic plan that was written in partnership with Pinellas County. We are 6 months into year 3, into our first 3 years, and we have just applied for our 5-year renewal. And it has been a very busy 2.5 years out at Leoman Exchange, but it is a celebratory presentation we are making today. So I have a lot to fill you in on. So if we gave themes to year 1 and year 2, year 1 was foundations, facility, and fact-finding. It was us learning the facility, us making sure we knew what we were getting into with the community, that we were forging good partnerships with the community from the foundation level, and just learning where we are and where the people were coming to us from. Last year, our focus for year 2 was people, partnerships, and programming. So once we'd established our presence there at the Leoman Exchange, we got used to running the facility, we got used to partnering with our community partners and our county partners there on site. Our focus was really building those nonprofit and service relationships. Some of those were already existing in Leelman and had been doing work in Leelman for many years, and that, our goal, our mission is to make sure that they continue to do so with our support and help. And then to build new partnerships to fill a lot of the gaps that we found when we did that gaps analysis originally in the strategic plan. We also started to develop programming in year 2. We'll get more into the details on some of that exciting programming update. Year 3, at 6 months in, I think the theme for year 3 is services, support, and sustainability. Services meaning we have established our on-site navigation system. We want to make sure that everybody who comes to us, we can meet them where they are. We have established relationships with more than 100 partners at this point. Not all of those are in the building, but they are a phone call away. So no matter who reaches out to us, no matter who comes in our front door, we have a way to help them. Support. Leelman Exchange is at the heart of the Leelman community. East and West Leelman, we are there for them. And our mission over the last 2.5 years is to make sure that the community knows we're there, that they know we are here to support them, and that we are a facility that can do so in lots of different ways. And we're still exploring how many ways we can do that. And sustainability. When we created the strategic plan initially and we started in on this partnership with Pinellas County, the idea was to build long-term sustainable success in the Leelman community. That community had several difficult decades. I'm a Leelman resident. I've lived in Leelman for 24 years. I've said this before, my husband's family is now 5th generation living in Leelman. I've seen it myself, so I have skin in this game in a lot of different directions, but the idea was not just, that immediate triage help, which we have so many fantastic partners doing that work. We were looking for the long-term help, the long-term sustainability of the community. We're still working very hard to make that happen. Facility updates, in part of our management agreement with Pinellas County, we do run the facility. We pay all the bills. We maintain all the aspects of the facility itself. We did have a couple of partnerships on updating some of the facility features, and many of those have been coming to fruition over the last year or so. Phase 1 of our kitchen upgrade is complete. You'll see the photos at the top there. We had kind of a plain empty space with some weird drains in it when we got there. We have now upgraded it to a nice level warming kitchen. This is in partnership with many different funding sources. Primarily, emergency management had a checklist for us. We are a shelter, so there were some very specific requests for shelter activation that the kitchen needs had to fulfill. We will continue to improve this kitchen as we fundraise for Phase 2 and Phase 3, but even in its current state, we are able to start programming the kitchen. We have seen our brand new basketball courts out back. They're gorgeous. You should come and take a look. And we have completed Phase 1 of our security upgrade to the facility. We've installed all new security cameras. Phase 2 is a brand new access system that we're going to put on the building. While the building is, the facility itself is not a school, we do have a K-12 school in one of our buildings and a full-time daycare center in Building A. So we behave as if we are a school facility. To me, it's very important that all the tenants take that very, very seriously. Safety and security is high on our minds daily. And we just completed our annual active assailant training with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department. A few programming highlights. I love this photo. So this photo was taken during Reading with the Rays. So the Leelman Exchange Community Center is a satellite library in partnership with the Pinellas County Library Cooperative. So with that, we got a lot of really fantastic perks over the last 2.5 years, one of which was being able to host Reading with the Rays last year. We are on the short list to host it again next year. We had 150 local children join a Rays player as he read books. Every child left with 2 books and a brand new Rays hat. And it was just a great day all the way around. We enjoyed it very much. Some really wonderful highlights to celebrate today. Our Needs Navigator is now full-time at Lealman Exchange. That is in partnership with Community Foundation Tampa Bay. They support that Needs Navigator in the tune of a $70,000 grant for the first 3 years. We are working to negotiate with them to stay as a partner with us for the next 5 years as we keep moving forward with the Lealman Exchange progress. The Needs Navigator is our full-time employee now, and she's just gearing up, but we already see good things from her. Another highlight from this slide, we have forged a partnership with the USF School of Nursing. So the mobile health clinic is now on property the first Tuesday of every month. It is free. They don't ask for insurance. They don't ask for even ID. It works just like a walk-in clinic. So they can do a lot of services right there on site. And then they can upgrade any kind of care. If you have something they can't handle there on site in the mobile unit, they will make sure that you get a referral to somewhere that you can afford for further health care. These are just some of the daily, weekly, and recurring offerings we have at the Lealman Exchange. It is a very busy, vibrant community center now, and I am very pleased and happy to tell you that. When I first presented to you guys, the front door was locked. The building was primarily empty. We had very few programming that was pre-existing before we started. We have hit the ground running, and we have made sure that it is an active, vibrant, full facility. You drive there any day, the parking lot is almost full, and I'm just so proud of that. And every day, people are coming to us, offering us new opportunities to share things with the community. Just yesterday, I got a it's a self-protection class for Parkinson's patients. We're going to do a special presentation for Parkinson's patients and other patients suffering from debilitating illnesses, a self-defense and self-protection class. This is something that's been in the news a lot where, handicapped people and people who can't physically take care of themselves have been taken advantage of. And this is in partnership with our partner, the YMCA. We are also a member of the Digital Inclusion Network. Beatrice Farrell, who's the leader of that network, is here with us as moral support today. Thank you for that. That means we are working towards creating an ecosystem where every citizen has equal access to the digital world. There's so much about the digital universe that disenfranchises people who do not have access to gadgets, computers, or any other thing, and so much of what we do every day is immersed in that digital ecosystem. We are a Gadgets for Good local drop-off location, so at any point in any day, if you've got old laptops, old cell phones, anything that's sitting around your house and you want to donate it for a good cause, you can drop it at the Lealman Exchange. Community outreach is a very, very big part of this project. As we said when we first started this project with Pinellas County, Lealman is a tough community to reach on a one-on-one scale. We knew that going in. I know this personally because I've been in the community for so long. We created the Lealman Voice Community newsletter that now is over 800 subscribers. So we started from scratch. We are now over 800. We grow every week. It is a bi-weekly newsletter for Lealman, about Lealman, and also crowdsourced with content from Lealman residents included. The most important thing that we strive for with communication is not only transparency. We want everybody in the community to know what's going on at the Lealman Exchange, but also feedback. We have built many channels to make sure that the Lealman community is giving us direct feedback so we know what we're doing. If we're doing it right, they're going to let us know. If we're doing it wrong, trust me, they let us know right away. But some of the programming ideas are experimental. We'll try something. Lealman will tell me whether they like it. If we didn't, we'll just do something different. So my team and I also participate in all the Lealman Community Association meetings. We go to the CRA meetings. We want to hear what the community says so that this is truly a facility that is for them. So some new upcoming partnerships. We just enjoyed our second annual Lealman STEAM Day. We have many, many partners who help make this happen, but it's basically a big science fair where we have booths set up in the gym. This year we had over 100 kids from the Leelman community come out, go booth to booth, station to station, and learn all kinds of different wonderful things. Partners include the estuary program. We had the Innovation District join us this year. Anybody who can share something about the world of science, technology, engineering, math, and art was welcome to join us. And every year we're going to do this, and it's going to be a little bit different every year. Something I am very, very pleased to celebrate with you guys. We are beginning our second cohort in the next 2 weeks of the Leelman Swim program. Many of you who knew Ray Neary, who was our beloved leader of Leelman for many, many years, his big dream was to have a pool in Leelman. That is a difficult thing to achieve. It's also extremely expensive. I can't, at this stage in my experience here, bring a pool to Leelman, but I can bring Leelman to a pool. So we built a swimming program that is free to Leelman children. Those children who need things like a swimsuit and proper shoes, we have grant money to support those, so we can give that to those children so they don't have to feel weird about showing up in the improper clothes. And we also provide a swim bag and a towel to every child who comes to the program. We do 30 kids at a time, so the cohorts are about 8 weeks long, 30 kids. The idea is this is not just teaching kids safety around water, although that is really, really important. It's also giving them the opportunity to grow and strengthen with swim lessons when they get old enough. We also have funding to pay for lifeguard certification, and that means our 16, 17, 18-year-old kids can then get paying jobs for the summer. So that is also in partnership with Community Foundation Tampa Bay. They give us a healthy grant to kick that program off. They'll be hearing from me for more money so that we can keep that going. Ultimately, I would love this to be something that the Leelman Exchange just does in perpetuity. It is so important to have kids be able to swim, or at least know how to get themselves to the edge of a pool if they, or a body of water if they fall in. We are welcoming our brand new tenants, the Wounded Warriors Abilities Ranch. Their grand opening is scheduled for September 27th. Please come out and meet them if you have never worked with them at all. Their programming is designed to build adaptive sports programs for people confined to wheelchairs. And they have like so many different kinds of wheelchairs they have for each different sport. They just won the national title for adaptive rugby, so they're national champions as of May. And this morning, they are doing their live day ride, which is in celebration of the CEO, Mike's survival of being shot in Afghanistan. So that is happening as we're speaking. Also coming up is the Leelman Farmers Market. So Leelman is a food desert, and one of the very big challenges in the area is getting fresh, healthy food. There's a lot of little convenience stores that some people, that's as far as they can get on their bike or walking. It's overpriced, it's not healthy food, it's packaged, and it's junk. So what we're gonna try to do for October, November, December, we're doing a pilot program on Sunday mornings, 1 day a month, a fresh food market in the Leelman Exchange parking lot. And then we're gonna have several partners join us as we grow this program to do cooking demonstrations where they just go find the produce out at the, buy the produce right there at the stands and then demonstrate how to cook it and make it a nice healthy meal. So that starts in October. Another new group that has joined us in the Leelman Exchange facility is Community Tampa Bay. If you don't know, they do the Anytown program. They're all about leadership and character building for youth, and they've been a great addition to the community center. We still have several rooms upstairs which are available, and we are in contract negotiations right now with a fantastic nonprofit in the area. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to jinx it, but if this partnership works out, they will rent the remaining space in Building A on the second floor, which will mean we will be fully tenanted. We will be fully booked out there at the Leelman Exchange. So thank you so much, and I hope you have some questions for me. I've very much enjoyed presenting to you.
Questions, comments? I'm personally thrilled about the lifeguard program, just saying. Any questions or comments? I love all the programs. It looks great. You guys are doing a really great job. Thank you. Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment, that was a great presentation, and really proud of all the great work that you're doing in Lellman, and I had no idea that you offered so much, so that was really educational for me, and just curious, what pool are you using?
The project is in partnership with YMCA. We're currently sending the kids to Gills. The program includes transportation, so the swim bus comes to the exchange and picks kiddos up. The parents can also meet us there at Gills if they want to. Some of the kids, the first swim lesson, I was almost in tears about, we had 17 kids join us, 15 of them had never been in a pool before. We had a lot of crying and a lot of freaking out. I was crying, I was freaking out. But the kids did great, and the younger they are, the faster they adapt. So by the end of the first lesson, everybody left with smiles on their faces, and we just can't wait to get this next cohort started.
Oh, that's awesome, and the farmer's market is great too, so I'll have to come check that out.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you. I don't have any real questions. Your presentation covered a lot of the material and a lot of the bullets I had written down, so just want to add my thanks. And I think the farmers market's a great access point for the food, and it's a great community gathering. I still haven't given up hope that we will get a grocery store in East Lellman at some point soon. So, but again, just really thank you for all the good work you're doing.
Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Heather Gills property will be sold or has been sold, and so they're going to do an entire new development. Are you already making plans about where you will relocate your swim activity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're probably going to Bardmore. We were originally going to go to Spear, but it is, because it's new and it's beautiful, it is so full, it is so booked. So we will probably shift our swim program to Bardmore.
Okay. And just remember, there's some pools like in the St. Pete area, at Gladden Park, Roberts, which isn't too far from there. So just kind of keep those in mind as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, the pool came with the partner, so because the YMCA stepped up and offered the support of the program, it's their pools that we're using, but if any other entity wants to step up and
I bet I'm
I'd love
making
that.
a call today.
Okay,
Because
awesome.
swim safety is so important.
It's
I
so
mean, we're
important.
surrounded by water, and every year we hear of a child or even an adult that drowns, and often it's, because they can't swim, they didn't know how to swim. So,
And it's shocking how many kids in the Lealman community live less than 10 minutes from the beach and have never gone.
yeah.
Some of the kids that were in that first cohort that had never been around a pool or water were in their teens. This is a real challenge for us, and so we're really excited to be able to have the partnerships that are making this happen.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, well, maybe Justice has a pool in his backyard you can use. Great presentation. I agree with Commissioner Scott. It's great to see all the good things that are going on, and no matter how I get a little grumpy sometimes about other things related to Lellman on the outer periphery, the stuff that we're really doing there is just unbelievable, and I just commend you and your group, the leadership, Tom, and all of our leaders that have been a part of that effort as well. Thanks for the work. And I have some budget questions, which I'll ask at the budget time.
Okay, we're ready for them, so, yeah. In fact, just last night, we passed our second-year audit with all A's, so we will be happy to answer any of those questions. And I have to thank all of the partners that are making this happen. It does take a village. We don't do this alone. That's why it's called collective impact. So there's so many, like I said, about 100 separate partnerships that are making all this work.
Just one other question. I saw them mention one time in there, the Lellman folks, the AmSkills folks. And I don't know, I haven't gotten an update. I think we're going to try to get them in for an update on their program and what they're doing and the success stories. But I think that's a big part of this effort too, for not only the community itself, but the surrounding area, job opportunities that are being brought to the center through AmSkills and that kind of thing. So I'd like to see maybe a little bit more emphasis on that job piece.
Yes, AmSkills is actually doing a boot camp right now. The current cohort graduates on Friday, so we'll all be at the graduation. It's great news. Those cohorts, more than 60% of those students get jobs right out of that program.
That's beautiful. I love
And I
it.
have a meeting with them Friday afternoon to see how we can expand programming.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know Barry had some follow-up.
Well, no, I think it just goes along, you're seeing all this good work come about, but it's through their hard work. And, I don't get, to see it day to day like a lot of you, but, I went out to meet Amy and I came early and they were holding a community impact meeting where you had all these nonprofits sitting around. And the collaboration was just amazing. I just sat there and listened, but, she's talking about the pool and people are going, well, I can donate this. Well, I can do this. And it's a bunch of people coming together to make a difference in the community. It really was amazing. And I had no idea that those types of discussions and programming was going on. So just huge kudos to them for all their efforts. And that's how you make things happen.
Anybody else have any more comments? So congratulations, great job. When I first met Joe, he was bragging about how good they were doing, and now I see it, and it's just incredible. So you guys are doing a really, really, really good job. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
We really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
your
me.
commitment and your dedication. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. So we're going to go on to budget discussion, and I know I see him on his way.
Chris is coming up. So commissioners, I've talked to you individually. We've put this on the item. We've got several cleanup items and stuff. I'll have Chris kind of walk these through, and I'm sure you'll have other discussion points that you want to raise, and we can begin right now.
Microphone is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Rose, Office of Management and Budget. We have 4 things we're going to put in front of you today, and we are seeking your input and consensus on these as we go into our first public budget hearing next week. So, unincorporated Seminole Sports District millage rate, Ford Pinellas millage rate, beach and water safety, and then changes to the proposed. So, first up is the unincorporated Seminole Sports District. We provided you with the detailed budget on August 13th. You can see it. The main thing to draw from that is lawn and field expenses are more than half of that budget right now. It's their first budget, and they're still working on what it might mean and how it might play out. So our recommendation remains at $0.25 mil, and I think I'll entertain any thoughts or questions on that.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, what is the millage rate currently for the total millage additional for library and recreation in Palm Harbor and East Lake?
So in both of those, it's $0.5 mil, and in East Lake, it is $0.25 and $0.25. In Palm Harbor, it's half together.
So it's 0.25 in a sense
For each one,
each one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And aside from the heavy capital up front, do we have a sense of the justification for the 0.25 mils going forward? Aside from the capital, initial capital, I'm sure there's a capital program in place as well, but that would be the question.
There is a capital program in place. They're going to have some short-term expenses because of the construction over the next 3 or 4 years. So the improvements to the field will actually be paid for out of the penny that was budgeted, but then they're going to have to make some temporary improvements. So for instance, there's some fields that currently are unusable that they want to make to be usable while they move people over to that so they can then do the construction over at a different area. So you're going to see a phased cycle over, about 3 or 4 years, and Paul is here, and he can speak to any of these in more detail, and you'll have that. One of the things that I think that they, would speak to is that the money that they have really drives how then they set up the programming. And so do you have higher registration fees or lower registration fees? Well, it's based upon your revenue that you come in. And so I think they're wanting to get through that. That'll help determine how exactly they structure their budgets and their programs.
Okay, thanks.
And we do have Steve Cecil and Amanda Felton over in the audience here, so if there's any detail, we can do that.
We good?
I think we're good. You want to go on?
And make one other announcement on this topic is when this millage is in front of you, it is going to require a unanimous vote. It's the first time out. That's what Department of Revenue requires of us. It does not matter what that millage is. It's going to require a unanimous vote. So moving on to Fort Pinellas millage rate, and I'm going to invite Whit Blanton to come up and share some context first, and then we'll get into some of the details there.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chair. Just wanted to give a little context for our budget before Chris walks you through some of the options. This Board of County Commissioners wasn't around when we merged the PPC and the MPO back in 2014, so I thought I'd just set a little context for that. This is an unusual agency. There's nothing like us statewide. We integrated land use and transportation by merging the MPO, which used to be a county department, under the planning department, with the Pinellas Planning Council in 2014, and I was hired to be the executive director in 2015. It was a time when the two agencies really didn't know each other. The staff was in the same room, in the same building, but there was no interaction. So we really had to build this agency from the ground up. And one of the things that we did is, in addition to coordinating our operations, coordinating our planning, was coordinating our budgets, aligning our budgets. And the MPO actually has a 5-year budget. It's the Transportation Improvement Program that we adopt every year. And it includes capital projects, but it also includes corridor studies, area plans, anything to do with transportation. And in order to sync that up with land use, because we can't spend federal and state transportation dollars on land use plans, just can't do it. We'll consider land use, but it's very different from developing policies and developing plans. So we budget out with the PPC 5 years. We align our plans for putting together land use policies in place with transportation projects and transportation plans so that they are aligned. The MPO adopts a 2-year planning budget, but again, that 5-year transportation improvement program is where the state and federal funds really come to play. So we have done that effectively, I think, with the Sunrunner project, where we did the Sunrunner Rising Transit-Oriented Development Project to complement that major investment. The Gateway Master Plan was a part of that. That is helping guide not only the development of the new county campus, but also helping to guide how the Gateway Expressway come together and working with the airport and other factors. So I think that's an important context to just set, that we're a different agency, and having some of those reserves to be ready, because our mission is collaboration and partnership. That's why we exist. And we have to work with all 25 local governments. One thing that I'll note about the reserves and why they've risen a little bit is there's a professional capacity challenge that we face here in Pinellas County, and it's true probably everywhere. But we are the planning entity, and we've got to be ready for the partner to be ready with us. And in some cases, such as like Clearwater wanted to do a downtown master plan, we offered to help and find that and put the funds toward that so that they can be prepared for the downtown campus. And their response to us is, we're probably 2 or 3 years away from doing that. But that's something we want to keep on our radar screen. So I just wanted to set a little context, and then I'll turn it back over to Chris to walk you through the budget scenarios and see if you have any questions. One last point I'll make is on the regional MPO merger. The budget scenarios here don't really take into account those unanticipated unknown costs for the merger, but startup costs alone, our share of that are looking somewhere around about $2 million, a little over $2 million in startup cost, potentially. And then for ongoing operations, our share of that could be as high as $2.3 million annually with that regional MPO. And we're scheduled to establish that regional MPO before you move into the new county campus in 2028. So the target is 2027 for that. And I can't stand up here and say it's going to happen, but I feel pretty confident that it will. We are further along than we've ever been in 30 years of discussion about this. So again, I'll be happy to try and answer any questions you have about that.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, on the 2 million and 2.3, that's the total, right? That we're estimating annually operating?
Our share.
Our share, so
Our
we're
share,
talking
based on
over 6
population.
million in operating.
So operating would be about 6 million potentially. Again, that's if we go independent as an independent organization. And my budget now is about 7 million, so that's not unreasonable for a three-county transportation planning organization.
Thank you.
Thank you, Whit. So if I may, the next slide on slide 5 is some detail, some history. I will point out that we've still got it at 0210 because that is what we proposed. You have not changed that. We have not brought it to you for the chance to change it yet. We've gotten your input, but still at that. The MPO has been, called you an MPO, forgive me, PPC, yes, Forward Pinellas, has proposed going to a 0200 mills. So that is out there at the moment. Each mill is worth $128,000 roughly, and then there's some history. And in addition to the reserves, there is $600,000 of contingency that is built into the budget. In addition, a little something about how we budgeted and how we've actually ended up. So we budgeted more expenses than reserves for the last 5 years, but we've actually spent less, just as a historical fact. And then we put a couple of scenarios together with Forward Pinellas. So there we are at the top with what was proposed. The 0200 is a reduction of 128 of revenues and 400,000 of professional services increase. So, excuse me. You can see what the 25 reserves will be and the 29 final reserves at the end of 4 years and the percentages. So as you walk down each of those, you can see what the action would be we would take if we reduced each of those thousandth of a mil. It starts eating into actual things come 0.180 mils. That's when it starts changing actual services. So I'm going to pause on this and let you look at it. It does not account for the MPO, the merger, anything like that. That's today's scenarios.
Do we have a sense of the, you say you currently have a $7 million budget, in a merged group, it would be 2.3 million, our share operating, and that will come away from that 7 million, obviously. A lot of that 7 million would, that's why I say a lot, or I don't know what piece of that.
So there's some unknowns here with the merged MPO, what the role of the PPC will continue to be. I think Pinellas County still needs a Pinellas Planning Council to coordinate land use here in the county. So there would be probably some budget for the Pinellas Planning Council remaining even after the merged MPO. And there's some strategies that we're thinking about to embed MPO staff in each of the 3 counties with that merger to kind of help with that land use transportation integration. But that $6.6 million in annual operating cost for the merged MPO does not account for the Pinellas Planning Council. That is just the function of the MPO.
Right, but what you're saying, the combined, your operation is at 7 million right now?
That's right, that's approximately.
Okay, so in the merged MPO, our piece would be somewhere around, you said 2?
It'd be about 2.3 or so.
2.3.
If you look at the population of Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco, we're about 31% of the total population of those 3 counties. So that's generally the rule of thumb of how we've looked at that.
So there'll be at least that much coming out of your 7 million.
That's correct, yes, because that's local money. I can't necessarily use all federal money for that.
I understand. I'm just trying to get the overall budget that you have now versus what it might look like after that merger.
Correct.
I just want to make sure
So I'm not sure if I'm understanding exactly your question.
Well, you have a budget right now of 7 million that you're paying out. That's what I'm trying to understand and connecting it to the reserves. After the merger, you're going to have 2.5 million, 2.3 going to that merged operation.
Yes.
Are you going to be spending the rest of the $7 million, or are you going to have a reduced budget here locally?
I'm going to have a reduced budget here locally with
By more than the 2.3?
Probably, yes, sir.
I'm just trying to get a sense of where we're going to be in total outlay.
We're talking about 2 different things, so let me be real clear. The startup costs for the MPO are about $2.1 million that we will take on.
Understand.
So that's like 26, 27.
Right, I consider that more of a capital one-time startup.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with the 29 reserves, that is contemplating our 2.3 million upfront cost?
It is not.
It does not. So that's just if we stayed on our own as an independent.
Right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Eggers.
The purpose of the contingency, please, just so, I mean, we have reserves, but what's that, how do we, they're differentiated, obviously, but.
Sure. The board has asked us to have a contingency of 3 months of operating expenses, and that's really to help us against any sort of catastrophic event.
And the other reserves, which we normally consider for that as well, are more for operational purposes, the operation of the deficit on the operation
That's right.
that you have, and anticipated expenses not related to the merger.
That's right.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And maybe I missed it on the proposed .0200 reduction in cash flow of 128, but then we add 400,000 to professional services. Could you just explain that line for me?
So this is the proposal that Ford Pinellas has put out there already, which is reducing the 1/1000th of a mil, which is 128 of revenue. The 400,000 is a new study that was not contemplated when we proposed the budget. It's not exactly a study, implementation of the Gateway Master Plan. That is what that 400,000 is set aside for. That was not in the budget that we put.
So it's a specific project? Because at first I was like, we're cutting 128, but we're adding 400,000 and, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's to further reduce that reserve. And the board voted on that at the last meeting when they approved the reduction in the millage.
Any other questions or comments? So we still don't know if or when that merger is going to happen, right? And so, and if it does, we're thinking 26?
We would
27?
stand it up in 27. By July 1st of 27, that's the target, but by July 1st of 26, things would be moving in action. It's weird because we've got to produce documents that get certified by the state and the federal government before the MPO can be recognized to receive funds. So we would keep the existing MPOs until that moment when those certification documents are approved. And I'm not producing those certification documents until we've got an agreement on the governing board structure, the staffing plan, the office location, whether we're hosted or an independent organization. That's coming in the next year.
Okay. Anybody have, now I know we have to give direction to Chris. So they're going to be looking for direction from us because we haven't given it to him yet. Now, I still stand on what I've said now several years about the amount of reserves that they have and continue to grow. And I don't think we have any department in this county that has 40%, 44% in reserves. So, I haven't changed my opinion, and I like the third option at 0190. And so I'm just putting my thoughts out there like you all have. But I can tell you, Whit, I'm surprised with as often as I've brought this up that you've never come to meet me and explained to me how Forward Pinellas works. Never been on your board. And so I will tell you, I'm disappointed that you haven't even come to try and educate me so I could understand this when I bring this up year after year after year. So that's just my personal comment. You don't have to respond. That's just my observation, and I'm disappointed about it. So that said, that's my recommendation is the .0190, and I don't know if I would make that as a motion. I don't know that I would have a second. I would entertain a second, and if not, then a different motion. Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, so the comment that the reserves continue to grow. So I want to make sure that we separate out the operation, which, at least what you were telling us, is losing money currently.
From a budgeting standpoint, yes, sir.
What does that mean from a budgeting standpoint? Now, it's not nuance here. I want to make sure I understand clearly. So from a,
Sometimes, I mentioned earlier, we have those capacity issues in local governments, and we can't go as fast as we think we should or would like to. And so we get, slowdowns. So that money doesn't get spent a lot of times as quickly as we think it could. For instance, let's say we think a study can get done in 9 months or 10 months. It might take 16 months. So that has happened a little bit. A lot of our staff at the local government level, they have plenty of things on their plate that they do regularly, whether it's processing permits or approving developments or maintaining their capital improvements program. And that's true whether it's the county or it's smaller local governments. So we try to find the sweet spot when local governments are ready to work with us. And sometimes things come up and we need to be prepared for that. Other times it's planned.
all right, so I'm going to ask, I'll ask it a little differently then. So over the last 3 or 4 years, on operations, on your operating budget, how much have we added to reserves?
Yes.
Yeah, how much? I mean,
Well, this past year, we budgeted $300,000 to pull from the unfunded reserves.
to balance it out. And how's that looking? Are we going to be there, or are we going to be, again, pushing things off again so that we have a positive this year again?
I feel very positive about that this year. There are some projects that are pending that I'd be happy to talk to you about individually.
Right, understand.
Yeah, I'm just not ready to announce what those are yet.
But for the last 3 or 4 years, Chris, they have continued to budget for losses, and the actuals have, in each of those 3 cases, have come in above, so added to the reserves. I want to make sure, because that's kind of what you were saying, and I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
So I cannot say every year, because there have been some years where they have actually been below, but the averages are up here. They have average budgeted 480,000 more expenses than revenues. The actual average, again, average, not each individual year, has been 147 less.
Does that also happen when you fully fund, from a budget standpoint, positions that aren't filled? You're trying to get them filled. These aren't the ones that you just kind of, I remember in the, quote, old days, they'd always have these, not MPO, I'm talking about everybody, would have all these extra positions that never got filled. But I'm just saying that in this case, these are positions that have wanted to be filled but just aren't getting filled. So that's adding to it as well?
That could be part of the analysis. Right now, they're fully staffed, right? So that's the last.
We are now fully staffed. We have 2 special projects planners that take on most of this discretionary work. And one of them left to go work for the Federal Transit Administration a year ago, so we had a period where she wasn't here. And then we hired back somebody who left and went to the private sector, and now that position is full. But there was a gap in the past year for about a year between that departure and filling that position.
So your total budget, probably 75%, 80% salaries and
Yes, sir,
benefits?
about 80%.
And then 20% projects, that is where we're creating some of this extra
That's correct.
above the budget that we're expecting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I get it again. I've only heard this about 1,000 times, but when I start to hear things kind of come at different perspectives, it kind of makes me think back through it. So, okay, thank you.
So I do want to correct what I said. I said I was looking for a motion, and we're not making a motion, we're just coming to consensus. So I correct myself on that one. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When you and I met individually, I don't know, a month or so ago, you had mentioned, I think it was two or 3 years ago, when there was an increase in the millage.
That's right.
And you had said that there were some positions, there was a communication gap between software technologies, between Forward Pinellas and the county, and there were some unfilled positions that were apparently still in the budget, so that you probably really didn't need to raise the millage, but that was an unknown factor at that time.
That's right.
What was the millage before it was raised? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that millage rate was.
believe it was .016, but it could have been 017. It was
0.016
It's about 017, I remember.
or 0.016?
No, it's 016, I do remember, because we reduced the millage in 2017 because we weren't ready yet. You know, we were still kind of forming the organization, and we had more reserves than we needed, so we reduced it at that time.
Right, because at that point, you were taking from reserves.
That's right.
To balance.
We were spending down the reserves, and then I told everybody when we formed Ford Pinellas, it would take about 5 years to really get this organization to where it was fulfilling the mission. Right. And once we got to that point, we saw the decrease in the reserve, and that's why we came back for the millage increase. But I do think that there was some discrepancy in the actual cost that we were seeing with our accounting software and the budgeted cost that we were seeing with the county's software. I think we've now reconciled that. Those positions are now gone.
So right now then, so it was originally proposed for fiscal year '25 at .0210, and so now are you suggesting that .0200 is where?
The board has taken action on the .020. Again, that's a recommendation to you all. We are prepared to go down to the .0190 as suggested. That's not going to kill us. But I don't want to be in the position of having to come back and ask the county for assistance with the merger if we think we can do it on our own. It's just easier and simpler, and it also shows leadership to Hillsborough and Pasco if we're ready to go. Because I don't know that Hillsborough and Pasco are going to be able to do that without going to their boards of commissioners. Right. And they're not going to go to the city of Tampa, because the city of Tampa is like on the fence, and we want to bring them into the fold.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Eggers?
Just a comment. We spent, I know the board, the Ford Pinellas board spent a lot of time on this, and comfortable with the .0200, level. And, again, I don't see that big of a change, a big of a difference in the reserve levels, but I'm going to be, respectful of that board and their recommendation, which is below the proposed. So I'd be willing to stick with the .0200 that the board voted on. I think that's respectful of the board and the process, and a deeper understanding of how the operation works. So that's my thought on that.
Commissioner Justice, I see you nodding your head.
I think Commissioner Eggers stated it very wonderfully.
Okay. Commissioner Long?
Yeah, I don't really have a question. I have more of a comment and a statement that I'd like to share with my colleagues today, because unless you've served on Forward Pinellas and had the opportunity to get educated on all of the different ways that the planners and the feds and the state and the county works together, I can share with you the time and the effort and the additional training that's required to understand all those different pockets of money and how they flow is not easy. When you agree, Whit, it's very complicated.
We have a complicated little organization.
You do. And now, on top of that, I want you to know that Whit has been identified as a leader in this world by both Pasco and Hillsborough and Pinellas, because when he speaks, he is highly respected. And I trust his organization and the amount of time that his board has given to this budget. And remember, it's just not Pinellas County people on that board. We have people from Hillsborough and people from Pasco. And to try and look at these issues from a regional perspective is not easy. So if you want to be forward-thinking about what this county and this region might look like 25 years or 30 years from now, I strongly suggest that you pay attention to the recommendations that have been given by the Forward Pinellas board. It's not as though we just bless everything, and some of the folks there give Whit a pretty hard time, but he always has the answers, and he always is available to answer questions. So I just thought that was important to put out there, because he's not just looking out for the benefit of Pinellas. He has to take into consideration Hillsborough, Pasco, and oh, by the way, let's not forget that our partners to the south, Sarasota County, also rely on us to be leaders in this world of thinking about what we want the region to look like. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I could just clarify that my board is comprised only of Pinellas County local government representatives. However, we have the Regional Transportation Management Leadership Group that you're thinking of.
Yes.
And that does
That's what I meant.
include a 7-county region and a 3-county region, 2 different boards.
Okay, Commissioner Latvella.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just say that I support the .0190. But it sounds like we may be in the minority on that.
Thank you. I had a question for Chris, or for Whit, I guess. So it says that Forward Pinellas actually spent on an average of $147,000 less than it received in the last 4 years. Is that every year for the last 4 years, or just an average over the 4 years
That's an average.
of the 4 years?
Both of those numbers, the 480 and the 147, are averages.
Okay. So we have 2 numbers that we have kind of thrown out. I'm going to, Commissioner Long, there were 2 numbers that were thrown out. Have you got thoughts on which of those 3, or, well, those 2 or another recommendation based on page 7?
Well, yeah, yes, but to the point, if you're wanting to go, if the group wants to go to the lower rate, my question would be, are you going to be ready to give more when he has to come back? Because now he has additional responsibilities based on what the rest of the group is doing, and by the rest of the group, I mean on a regional level. So I support the recommendation at the, Whit has made with the 2, I can't see it, tell him what.
Of the 0200?
Yeah, that one,
Number 2?
yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to defer to the Forward Pinellas Board judgment on that at .020.
02. Commissioner Flowers. Okay, you have your recommendations. Move forward. Thank you, Whit, for coming.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're going to move on to beach and water safety. So the topic that we've really been looking at is the ability to hire and staff the facilities, the 3 parks that we have lifeguards and beach and water safety activities at. So right now, we have gone back to risk management, looked at deeply looked at what we can and cannot insure, and we received very clear guidance that 16-year-olds cannot be insured to drive, and that driving is a part of this job. So, and that the underwriters in risk management were uncomfortable with 16-year-olds lifeguarding without supervision. Now, we did look at Clearwater. They use 17-year-olds with supervision at their open water, and they use 16-year-olds at their pools. So a little more context than we had last time we were here. A couple of statistics. You can see our 3 beaches and what types of rescues we have, and we're really looking for your guidance on how we proceed. So at the top of page 10 there, you'll see current state. In the middle, you'll see year-round at all 3 beaches, and at the bottom, you'll see year-round at Fort DeSoto only. We've talked about this slide already. The only difference is we've added vehicles in. We had not had vehicles the last time we were here, so now vehicles pretty much puts the Fort DeSoto one at about the same cost as current status. Happy to entertain discussion or questions.
Barry, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, again, Commissioners, we've looked at this, and I think, the hard part is when you have something, so from a staff standpoint, we look at it, we say, from Clearwater Beach all the way down through The St. Pete Beach, there are no lifeguards anywhere, except for at Sand Key, Fred Howard, and Fort DeSoto that we provide. And the unfortunate part is you come out to that location expecting there to be a guard there. Half the time, we're going to have a sign up that says, no guard on duty, swim at your own risk, simply because of staffing standpoint. So it's not like we chose to take this issue on. The issue, became an issue for us simply from a, staffing and a management standpoint. We've come up with 3 different options, but you could take and slice and dice these and, come back, with anything. The hard part is taking something away. Where we if we had never guarded Sand Key, for instance, you would, and there's a fire station right there, you see most of the calls are for medical, then you wouldn't really have this issue. But you do have rescues, okay? You have rescues there that, we don't have, but there's other places where they have rescues and things like that too. And I understand that that's hard, but we're trying to figure out how to, manage this. We can slice and dice this. We've, I could sit here and throw up, you could do part-time at Sand Key, kind of the same scenario, full-time down at Fort DeSoto, and then we only got to come up with $100,000 or $200,000, that we'd have to just figure out. So we can do this in a number of different ways, but there's a lot to it. Obviously, what we're talking about is not going to start in October. It's going to start next year. So one other idea is, if you're uncomfortable and you want to have more discussion on this, is we put the budget in as it is today, and we continue to have these discussions through the fall. But again, we're open to having this discussion. We're open to getting your ideas. But we still stand by, I think that making it uniform and just really focusing on Fort DeSoto makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because of the distance between first responders and people out at Fort DeSoto, and that makes minutes matter. And so I think that if we're gonna put our money based on a risk-based model, Fort DeSoto's it, and that's what would we still stand by our recommendation. But if you're uncomfortable, with that, we're open to ideas.
Anyone have questions or comments? Commissioner Eggers.
So on page 9, where you have the statistics, obviously I'm assuming that the lifeguarding did the rescues.
I'm gonna have Paul come up because he can speak specifically to your question rather than from a budget standpoint.
Well, so that just, who's doing the rescuing, who's doing the medical, who's doing the outreach? That's kind of what I wanted to.
Commissioners, Paul Kazi, Parks and Conservation Resources Director. These are statistics that are gathered by our lifeguards, the lifeguards that we hired. So these are just the numbers from our seasonal program for this current year.
So the lifeguards are doing the medical, or they're calling EMS to come out and do the medical?
Well, they're involved in both ways. Medical includes first aid, application of first aid. Someone steps on something in the water or gets stung by something, or heat stroke. All of those things count as a medical intervention.
And then the only other question I have is, the expectation deal, right? That's your thoughts as a professional that the expectation of, it's almost like there should be either full-time or, especially at the mid and northern one, no lifeguarding year-round. Nobody has any expectations for it. It makes me, it's always made me a little uncomfortable that half the year we do have it, half the year we don't have it, and what day does it start, and what day does it stop, and when folks come out there, what are they expecting? That's always given me some concern. So just maybe your thoughts on that aspect.
Well, the reason why we've always done a seasonal program is because for those of us who live in Pinellas County, that is the swim season. We're seeing now that we have a lot more people at the beach during what we would call winter. From someone from Michigan, it's warmer than what they get in the summers. But from that standpoint, our beaches now are always busy. even if it's not people bathing, it's people that are out there kite surfing or paddle boarding or doing all of these other types of activities. So in a perfect world, if the issue was we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to minimize accidents, drownings, those types of things, then certainly, a year-round program at all locations would be ideal. I'm not sure that generally the statistics would make that necessarily an investment that had to be made. You can look at Fred Howard Park, for instance. It just isn't near as busy as Sand Key or Fort DeSoto. And then when you're looking at Sand Key versus Fort DeSoto, we have more issues at Sand Key Park, but that's due to a number of factors. You've got a completely different beach at Sand Key than what you have at Fort DeSoto. Fort DeSoto generally is shallower. Sand Key, because of the way it sits right there on the Gulf, and the jetty gets a little deeper, and so there's all of those different factors. You've got people at Fort DeSoto who are there year-round, they're camping, they expect to be able to use the beach and probably have a higher expectation that someone's going to be there to watch over them, where Sand Key tends to be more of a local place, for instance, when people want to get to the beach and not have to drive a long distance.
Well, that cleared things up, like, now, for me, not.
Oh, well.
No, I've given you a little bit of a hard time, but, so let me ask you more specifically, these rescues that you see here, those are happening when we have the lifeguards out there.
Correct.
So how do we measure rescues outside that time? I mean, I assume that we don't have any on record because we don't have any lifeguards there, but are we getting reports that, and I'm talking about the drowning, because that obviously was one that maybe we would have seen and rescued, maybe not, I don't know. So are we getting a sense that we probably have another 23 in that, or is it probably half that, or are we?
I can't speak to that without really researching it. Certainly, there are rescues that take place where a swimmer assists another swimmer. If there is an incident, we would have an incident report on it if it was reported to the rangers that are out at the park. But I can't give you what this represents, because when there's no one there,
But we're not getting a sense that there's a large number. Well, maybe we don't get a sense.
Right.
Because we have our rangers out there, and they're I'm assuming moving, and they'll probably hear from time to time about something, but we're not recording those. We don't really have a sense of that.
Not unless staff was personally made aware of it, or we had to call in fire rescue or emergency services responding because they got a call from someone on their cell phone.
Okay, so if we do the status quo, then we're talking about the 12 FTEs. We're talking about 528. That's in the budget. And if we did Sand Key, no, excuse me, Fort DeSoto for the enhanced, we're just adding the 7 FTEs. That's not separated out by itself, right? That's we've combined all 3 in the enhancement program, right?
Yeah, under a Fort DeSoto only, it's 5 full-time and 4, part-time. That's the 7 FTEs, and so it's basically the same cost, but that's taking it away from Sand Key and Fred Howard, is in essence what that does.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Barry.
So if the funded year-round program at Fort DeSoto only would be 5 full-time people.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah,
and it doesn't takes it away from Fred Howard and that.
That was the question that I asked, and it was right there. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, and like I asked, what do you use the 5 people for? Well, there's just a lot of activities that they could use them they could use those lifeguards for other purposes when they don't necessarily need to guard the beach in January or February, things like that.
Are you done? Can I move on?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Didn't last, I think it was last meeting we had, we approved a boat for Lellman, right, down so they could better respond to Fort DeSoto?
Yeah, boats and wave runners and, whatever,
Right.
whatever toys they
Right.
they want. But that's, far different than just at the beach, right? That's for all areas down around Tierra Verde, so.
Right. But I mean, it gives them the ability to respond in
it
a way
does.
that they can't respond today.
That's correct.
Right. Just my opinion is we've kind of, seems to me like we've sort of beat this thing to death. I'm just kind of thinking at this point, I don't really know that we have a better solution than we have right now. I'm just going to say we just leave it be. It's just my opinion.
Commissioner Justice?
Thank you very much. Had one question on what is our now, and if you, I think you talked about it, but I didn't hear exactly specifics. What is our average time now where someone would walk up and they would see no one on duty because of staffing or?
Well, I mean, come on up, Spencer. So, I mean, if you look, they're covering, time half the time, but he can probably speak to it. It probably varies by park even, and their ability to recruit. So go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioner. Spencer Curtis. So it varies. Obviously, 6 months out of the year right now, there's nothing. During the season, when we're actually bringing folks in, you may be looking at just weekends that we're actually fully covered. That's been kind of the status quo the last couple of years. So your first half of the week, the Monday through Thursday, you may not see anybody at the 3 locations because of the reduced staffing that we've had. I don't know if that answers your question, but more often than not, you're not finding somebody until the weekends during the season.
Yeah, it's such a balance. You have that, like Commissioner said, the expectations. Conceptually, if we were just sitting here conceptually, I agree that the Fort DeSoto focus is where it should be at, but it's so hard to reduce somewhere else. But Fort DeSoto is we talk about it all the time being the jewel of our park system. We talk about it being a visitor destination. As Commissioner Peters said before, the uniqueness of the setting. So conceptually, I would think that's where we should put the focus. But, procedurally, I'm not sure how you get there.
Any other questions or comments? So I have some comments. Of course, you knew I would. So I think the Sand Key, and at first I was okay with letting that one go, but since they've had a significant number of rescues, and I think you're right, I think it's the jetty, I think it drops off quicker, and those currents going into the Clearwater Pass can be very, very strong. Just like Madeira Beach, and Madeira Beach has had more drownings this year than I can ever remember. Clearwater Beach is, one of the world's most beautiful beaches. We've had that wonderful title for a long time, but I certainly don't want it to become one of the deadliest beaches either. So I think I have a couple thoughts on this. I think we can do status quo and still look at partnerships. So Clearwater has their fire department. It's a feeder system into their fire department. Maybe we could contract with Clearwater for Sand Key and let them manage that like they manage Clearwater Beach as an option. So I don't think we can do that this year, but I think we can make a decision. And when I spoke to Lellman before, they said they weren't ready this year, but they haven't ruled it out. So I think there's some ways that we can be creative. So I don't want to just say, let's leave it as it is and not make a plan for the future. I still think we can make a plan for the future. So, I mean, we can leave it status quo and continue to work on it. Okay. Or we can, make a decision now and enhance it, or just do Fort DeSoto. I just, that Sand Key I hadn't really thought about. I don't use that park very often, so I don't have a lot of experience. But I could see that there's a lot of rescues as a result of the pass being right there. So, and to me, I don't want it to make the news that we lost another person on our beaches. So And it sure doesn't help us with tourism if, because those families and those people that know those families are not going to come here if they know somebody died on one of our beaches. So I know a lot of our beaches aren't guarded, but Fort DeSoto is unique, and Sand Key, I think, has a high-risk element for a drowning there as a result of the past. So my thought is we give staff time to see about partnerships and how we could do this better, and not just count on the county to do it, but see if we can't forge some partnerships that will help us do this better, is my thought. Commissioner Flowers and then Commissioner Latvala.
I just have a question. Do we, I know in the past we talked about before, there used to be so many people applying to want to be lifeguards, even through the summer, and that number has declined. Do we do any specific target marketing for potential employment opportunities for this at some of our colleges, like Eckerd College, USF St. Pete, SPC, some of the kids who may be looking for a little extra money?
We do. Our aquatics program supervisor is out in the community from the moment, she's already started actually trying to get ready for whatever we will be in the coming year. It's a year-round passion for her to try and reach out to all those different partners and try and find people in places that maybe we haven't thought of. So she works with the different municipalities, specifically ones along the coastline. She works with different professional organizations to try to find places where there's opportunity. She's heavily involved with our fire rescue folks, so she is looking through opportunities for them. And then, as you noted, the schools and the universities locally. So yeah, that's a year-round endeavor for her, and she is always looking to recruit.
Thank you so much. And I share Commissioner Peters' concerns. I think I've stated that before. Persons have an expectation, even though we may have times where those particular stations have noticed that no lifeguard is on duty, et cetera. People still have an expectation that they're going to the beach and someone's going to be on duty. It didn't happen here locally, but I did see an article for another area where no lifeguard was on duty. And of course, you can seek litigation at any time. That's your option. But the litigation was that there was always a lifeguard there before. There was an expectation that there would be a lifeguard there or in the vicinity when, unfortunately, an incident occurred. Riptides, we're seeing those more, but I think that has more to do with, of course, the changes within our weather structure and weather patterns that are coming this way. So I agree that Fort DeSoto is a more active location and should have lifeguards there. I just wish it was a way that we could do more in order to have more lifeguards available to cover. And I wouldn't want to take away from Sand Key or Fred Howard. Sand Key is pretty active itself, especially in the height of tourism season. So.
And for any clarity in what it's worth, in what has been brought forward, that's where we're seeing what could be the difference between what we've been operating as a seasonal program versus moving to that year-round delivery. That we know folks want this as a year-round job. We know people are out there that are looking at this as part of what they would want to do as their career. And we get a lot of feedback from our seasonal employees that would like to have some of these jobs. They just also need the job the other 6 months of the year, so.
Right, and that was gonna be my other point too, persons are, even if you're making almost a full-time role, and to be reduced in that, now we run the risk of losing them because their income would be less. So, and I'll do my part too. When I'm out and about, I will do my part in just acknowledging that we have these opportunities and to please apply.
Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with what you said, as well as Commissioner Scott and Flowers, particularly about Sand Key. When I'm forced to go to the beach, Sand Key is the one that we usually go to, because it's a lot easier to get to and parking than Clearwater Beach. And as Commissioner Flowers stated, a lot of tourism, a lot of tourists go there, and all you have to do is just look at the license plates to be able to tell. And so I think keeping a presence at Sand Key is very important. But one thing that I think we should put on the list to do is talk to our legislative delegation about this and see if there is an appetite in Tallahassee to change how you can spend the TDT funds, particularly as it pertains to lifeguards, since that is a tourist and tourism activity, especially in peak times of the year during spring break and things like that.
Commissioner Eggers.
I like that idea, and I think there's justification for it too, for at least 6 months. You couldn't justify it necessarily maybe in the summertime, but you certainly could the other 6 months, and I think that's a great question. So currently, we're all part-timers. What percentage, how many times are we short people? So that when we have, in that time frame, there's 100% coverage. How much are we getting covered? Because all of a sudden we don't have somebody show up or.
Yeah, so when we came and spoke with you all about a year ago on this, that year's numbers, we were at about a 45% coverage. So in terms of the actual shifts that, if you look through the season, the number of shifts that would be available and then the number of people we actually had, we were about 45% coverage. So that's the actual shift coverage. The difficulty is you look at our actual staffing currently, we've staffed about just shy of 80% of our positions. So we're getting people in a position, but they're coming and saying, I've only got 2 days a week I can work. So that person we really need to work 4 or 5 days is only coming to work 2 days. So we're getting some interest, we're just not getting enough hours out of some of these individuals.
And in Clearwater, they're full-time?
They're full-time.
Yeah, and I wonder what their percentage is. I did have somebody that's kind of in and around associated with the city of Clearwater, and they talked about, if you guys decide to go full-time, give me a call kind of thing. Not that they were going to participate in it, but they understood what was going on in the program. And that little comment that you made about the staffing concerns me more than just about anything, because even if, we tell them, like, I don't know what the dates are, May 1 through September, that we're going to have coverage, and we don't have it but half the time. And that, to me, is concerning. So we're saying that we're not even dependable during the season that we say we're going to do it. And it gets back to this whole expectation. It's like you either almost have to just say, nope, we're not going to do it, except at one beach down south. We're not going to do it because we have a staffing problem anyway, and everybody needs to be on high alert year-round. Because we don't know if I come out this Saturday or Sunday whether I'm going to have a lifeguard there. We just don't know. And the not dependable system that we have makes me nervous. And again, I don't know the legal world, but certainly I would think more susceptible. We weren't out today. Did you see the flag? It was flying, which means we have somebody today, but we forgot that, I just think there's a lot of issues with it, and I'm not, I'm getting less and less comfortable with part-time. I'd almost rather go none, or full-time. And so I do think more study is needed on it. But right now, this system, to me, is just not working. And I don't mean that in terms of results and what's happening out there, just in terms of expectations and safety and that kind of thing. So.
Commissioner Long.
Yes, I am curious if you know what other coastal counties, how they handle the issue of lifeguards. Do you know?
It varies, but our immediate neighbors to the south in Manatee, they are fire rescue. They have their own service, and they are staffed right there year-round on the beach.
Funded through levy.
So we do have a station in Tierra Verde, do we not?
Yes, it's through Loman, yes.
Is that something that they could potentially do?
That's, again, we discussed that with them. They're not in position, but they are interested in discussing it. It's low and fire, okay? The difference is the station's not out in Fort DeSoto, so there's some distance.
But
So yes, we would welcome to have those conversations with them.
they might be willing, if there was a possibility, I'm just thinking outside the box, to have a substation that was actually in Tierra Verde of that station that's down there already.
I mean, first off, anything that they do, they're not going to do for free, okay? And so let's just understand that that's going to be a point of discussion. We're talking about how to fund, full-time. Well, there's going to be a cost, so we're going to have to come up with the money associated with the service that we're asking someone to provide. So whether we provide it or we ask, Lemon Fire to provide it, they're going to give us a bill. And so that's part of what we have to sit down and discuss with them.
Well, as a follow-up, though, they do have a toll down there, a couple of them actually, before you actually get out on the beach. Can we use any of that money? Where does that money go?
Well, the toll on the Bayway goes to the state, but the parking fees that we have coming into ours helps to support our park, and it still is not sufficient. I mean, so it's just coming in as a revenue. So you could generate more money by increasing fees. Commissioner Eggers just left. He wants to reduce those fees. So those are part of the discussion.
Well, you can't have it both ways.
If I can, we've spent a lot of time on this, and I agree with the commissioners, and I talked to Commissioner Peters before that, we can have this conversation in October. We don't have to solve it today. But what I'm hearing from you is you're uncomfortable, with leaving Sankey, open. What I also heard, though, was that you're more comfortable with addressing and reprioritizing resources from Fred Howard. Okay, so that's actually guidance that we can use. There may be a hybrid model, a part-time model at, for instance, Sankey, and a full-time model at Fort DeSoto. I asked Paul, and he said about $175,000 for that part-time model at Sankey. Could we implement that part of the year and then be able to balance it within the budget for this year and then build it into future budgets? Let us take a look at that. So if you're comfortable, we go forward with the budget recommendation it is. We'll bring back to you some alternative models based upon these discussions after the budget's over and continue with this discussion.
I have a question. So we can't put 16-year-olds in trucks, right? Because of liability. What about ATVs? If you run over somebody on an ATV, it's not the same as running over them on a truck, with a truck, which is, I believe, what happened and why we don't have 16-year-olds anymore. So, what if it's ATVs? Now, is that still a limitation on liability?
Yes. Yes, ma'am, it is. Driving in the underwriter's world, in the insurance world, driving is driving. Doesn't matter the vehicle. So we explored that.
Can we get your sons back? Would they volunteer?
Well, I'll tell you, when my firefighter retires, he would do the full time. He loved that job. He loved it. And he said, if you're going to have someone oversee that and do full time, I'd take it. So yeah, one of them. As Barry was talking, I thought about it, and I thought the fire department was a great option. The fire department's contracting with them would be a more expensive option.
Yeah, probably.
Than if we were to take the enhanced year-round 3 beach sites or 2 beach sites. So if we wanted to do it responsibly but more cost-effective, it would be better if we did a full-time program versus contracting with the fire departments. I know it's at the fire department, it's a great option for the fire departments to have a feeder system to be firefighters. But if I like the idea of full-time at Fort DeSoto, and I like the idea of full-time at Sankey. And quite honestly, if you did do tourism, the beaches put heads in beds. There's no argument about that. Whether it's tourist season or summer, because we have staycations. So, you know, I don't, if that was what we were going to do, but in my opinion, I think Sand Key and Fort DeSoto, I don't think it would hurt them to have an enhanced program at all. So again, I'm going to throw this out there because I kind of switched my original thought, but even if we were going to explore it and do it with fire departments, I think the cost could possibly be double than what you're proposing on doing a full-time program. So, so if we were serious and we didn't want to kick the can down the road, then, and we were serious about it, then I think you kind of bite the bullet and say, all right, this is our priority. If it's only Sand Key and Fort DeSoto, maybe the price is a little less. You take down whatever the Fred Howard number is, but you know, do we kick the can down the road another year, or do we just say we're going to do it the most cost-effective way and go ahead and have a real lifeguard program?
Then we have to come up with the money, right?
Right.
I'd be interested to see what maybe a hybrid taking Fred Howard out of that situation looks like. I mean, we can always change it, right? We can approve this now, and then we can change it even if it required a budget amendment down the road. I mean, it's not, I mean, we're not setting it in stone right now, but I obviously would like to continue the discussion for sure, and would like to see what a hybrid would look like.
So is that a status quo like we talked about originally, and continue the conversations?
Okay.
Okay. I want to confirm, Commissioner Flowers, you okay with status quo and continue? Commissioner Justice? Commissioner Long?
I'm good.
Okay. Good. All right.
Just one thing, real quick.
Commissioner
If you
Eggers.
could just check in with, just run it by City of Tarpon Springs, their folks, and just get their input on this, you know, the Fred Howard Park piece that we're talking about. We're considering all the options, part-time, full-time, none at all. Just get their immediate thoughts.
We do it. I mentioned it to the city manager. We do need to have more discussion with them. You're 100% correct. Obviously, they're not going to be happy anytime you take away, you know, resources and stuff, but we will reach out to them. I think you're exactly right. Okay.
All right. Through the chair, we have one more budgetary item, and that is changes to the proposed, and I'll go through them very quickly. We delivered the detail to you earlier this week. It divides into three different categories: new revenues, new information, and carry forward items that we know now. So these are illustrative examples. The biggest one in new revenues is the Human Services Department, the low-income pool, and you will see that at the next to the last item that's coming up when we do agenda review.
This is the hospital.
It's
hospital direct payment.
Very similar to the hospital direct payment program. It is where the hospitals tax themselves, comes to us, we send it up to ACA at the state, and they send more money back to the hospitals. So it is something you approved this past about 4 months ago, and this is an expansion of that program. Next up are two new grants that our Safety and Emergency Services and Regional 911 folks have come up with. This is a very good thing, and we just want to amend the budget to get those in. Moving on to new information, there are several things that have changed since we put the budget together. One of them is the ERP program, moving it to the clerk's office instead of sitting in BTS, and that is an agreement that we have come to together. It's not a forced march, it is an agreed upon consensus thing, so we'd just like to move the budget around.
We created a enterprise resource program. This is our whole Oracle-based system. This is our, you know, all things financial system that we're going to be upgrading and moving to new technology. And so we have a team that oversees that. We felt it should report to one person in the clerk's office.
Correct.
From a program standpoint. So it's within the budget, it's budgeted, but this is a move to put it under the clerk's budget versus BTS.
Correct. Net zero change, just a move. Solid waste, we have a payment to the city of Pinellas Park for a water bill that we need to include in the budget. They were undercharging us for a while, and we've come to agreement with them, and it's just not in next year's budget, so we need to get that in. We have the sheriff's adjustment, and we have water and navigation, and that's all clearly spelled out in the memo that went to you. Water and nav is sort of the reverse. We're moving a position from the clerk over into Public Works and creating a new position with some fees associated with it. And we want to keep looking at those fees. So last up are some carry forward items that we know now. Administrative services, the hangar project, the sheriff's hangar project. We had budgeted for the furniture, fixtures, and equipment in this current fiscal year. We'd like to move that to next fiscal year. Again, all three of these are no net change. ARPA, there's one in particular that we want to move forward right now that we know of, the $900,000 for the consolidated CAD. This is the GIS piece of it. And then finally, 2.5 for the traffic preemption system in our EMS fund. And that is everything. Next steps. Next Thursday, we have our first public budget hearing. The 19th, we have our second. And by the end of that meeting, we'll have a budget.
Questions, comments? Commissioner Justice.
On the water bill for is that our waste energy and all of that facility out there?
Yes.
Is that 1.8, is that the current or is that the addition, the increase or the makeup, the difference, I guess?
It is the makeup difference, yes. So
And do you know what our total is?
it's a very large number. I don't have that.
I don't know if it was, 1.8 now is 3.6 or 1.8 on a 10 million, just trying to figure out like what our percentage was
If
on
I
that.
could come back to you with that.
Yeah, that's
feel
fine.
more comfortable.
That's fine. And then, this is not specifically to the items, but the money that we had received from the state for Toy Town, do we have a time calendar on when we have to encumber that at least, or spend that, And you can get back to me on that if you...
5 years.
5 years? Okay.
Yeah, and, and as you know, Brian Loack and their team's working on that to bring that back to the TDC and to you, soon.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No? Commissioner Eggers.
So, again, I got your, it was interesting, you said that you sent that other packet earlier in the week. I got mine yesterday, so just want to make sure that earlier in the week, and then you had some others late night last night, so I haven't really had a chance to digest your text or email. And what I was trying to just make sure I understood, that we have a certain, I've been overly concerned, maybe not, about our increasing costs, the cost to living in Pinellas County for first-time home buyers to buy a home. And so all of that goes to taxes, it goes to insurance, it goes to inflationary costs and interest rates and all of that. So the part that we're doing, I just want to make sure that, the information that you sent incorporates some of those, I guess, thoughts. So the first thing you sent, you said in here was that the tax roll is growing at 7.9%. I think that's what you said, right?
Yes, sir.
The tax roll is growing at 7.9%, and the millage is decreasing 3.1%. So you're talking about a net increase of 4.8%. So when I looked at the page under ad valorem tax increases, it says 6.2%. So I just want to make sure what I'm looking at. Ad valorem tax increase on the page that you sent here. It says 6.2%, and then you separate the terminology used here as tax roll.
You probably have new growth in the numbers that you're looking at on the other page. This is minus new growth.
So
it's 7.9% plus new growth, okay? And that new growth was almost 2%, a little less than 2%. That's
correct.
And so I think
7.9, and then additional
in almost 2% of new growth, yes.
Okay. So that was closer to the 9,
Yes.
9.5%.
Yeah.
9.4 was the overall growth. The 7.9 is less new construction.
All right, so that 9% growth, less the 3% that you were talking about on millage, gets to this 6.2.
Right.
Yes, sir.
This takes into account all those revenues that you're
Everything.
talking about.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that clarification.
Right.
Appreciate it. So, and then what I was asking was, just make sure I'm clear, the $600, this is talking about the salary increases that we're talking about. What $600, depending on the salary you're making, is between, again, if you're making $30,000, it's 2%, 60,000, 1%, and, it gets smaller.
Right.
And then on top of that, we're adding a 4.25%. So some folks are getting basically 6.25, some are getting 4.5. They may be only getting a 0.25 because the 600 doesn't mean as much percentage-wise on higher salary as it does on the lower salaries. And so I was just trying to make sure I understood how we can do a better job of slowing growth of government even more. And I wanted a trade-off between, a 4.25% increase and what would a 3.5% increase look like. What I think you said to me here was that a 3% salary increase instead of the 4.25%, which would be taking what we have now proposed and taking it to 3% salary increase, resulted in $3.6 million savings. Is that what I'm?
That's correct.
Okay. And then that translates to 0.028 mils. Is what?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that right? I mean,
You are correct.
Okay.
And of that 3.61125 is in the sheriff's office, just so we're clear.
Of the what? I'm sorry. Oh, of the
Of the 3.6. Yeah.
Yeah, 1.125 is in the sheriff's office. I got it. So, okay, so I just wanted to make sure again that we're talking about the 0.028 mils would be then in addition to whatever else that reduction, what we're currently proposing. And again, if you could just send those numbers to me, just showing me what that equals and what that percentage rollback would be then. Instead of a 3% millage rate, what would that equate to? And again, I'm not necessarily saying that's the direction I'm prepared to go or vote to go, but I just wanted to make sure I understood the trade-off between retention. And I don't necessarily believe that 3% versus 4% we're going to have a much greater retention. I think there are other things that we need to work on for retention. And I've talked about it a couple of times, vouchers for daycare, for instance. And I'm not saying that's cheap. I'm just saying it's something that is critically important. You talk about retention, and if you really want to put your money where your mouth is on retention, that's a big deal. And the younger people are really feeling it, so to the extent that some are deciding to stay home and not work because of that piece. So I'm just saying that's something, if you want to, I think that's something that we ought to just explore in the coming year. I'm not talking about now, but I don't know that going from 3.5 to 4.5 means somebody's going to decide to stay or leave. However, having said that, I also appreciate the work that our folks are doing, and I'm not trying to be cavalier about it. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the trade-off between helping our residents, who our employees happen to be also, and just helping the employees with that additional. So if you could send that information out, that would be really helpful.
Yes, sir.
None of that made any sense to anybody. I'm sorry, but
No. And Commissioner, between me having time to review what Chris was going to send you, and then Chris being at the airport, we didn't get that out to you till like 10 o'clock last night. So I know you haven't had a chance to fully digest that. But I think it's some really good information because it's this trade-off. And from an employee standpoint, we want to remain competitive. We're at the low end of what we're seeing area salaries are, and I know that that's not a target. I understand what you're saying on that. But we're trying to provide that balance. It's those same departments, other departments report to me, that delivered budgets that was 0.9% over last year, less than 1%. I think they did an amazing job, and that's everybody. That means holding position vacant, reducing and eliminating positions, which means the rest of the workforce takes on that work, So, I mean, it's been a concerted effort based on your direction and your guidance and challenge to us that we've been able to deliver for the departments that report to you. But you also see the sheriff's budget's going up $33 million. And there's no rhyme or reason other than unfunded mandates by Florida Retirement System, so the state mandating him to put in that cost, his insurance costs going up by $10 million, vehicles, et cetera, and stuff, and just, so that is an area where we simply can't control. The only way he can, he's a headcount-driven organization. The only way he can reduce that is to change his operating practices. So that's really where that growth is occurring. We've tried to hold that line, and so it's been that balance. But I didn't, and I'm not trying to counteract what you're saying. We're going to deliver that. I just want you to understand, I want people to hear that we've held the line on our costs. We're delivering a budget to you for the departments to report to you of less than 1%. I think that's amazing.
I think it's awesome. And so, again, and I think the work that our folks are doing is really important. But I also think we answer to residents.
I understand.
That are our employees also, but also other residents. And I think they need to understand that if we choose to go with the budget as proposed, that we've made those conscious trade-offs, that we're saying that it's still important. We understand the growth of government needs to be slowed, and over the next 5 years, hopefully we won't see the same growth that we've seen over the last 10 years, 15 years, because the numbers are pretty, I'm not talking about our department, I'm talking about growth in government that are funded. So I just wanted to make sure I understood those trade-offs, number one, and that we're able to communicate to our residents the reasons, again, to the point, some of the points that you made, Barry, I think are really critically important. But I also think it's important that we understand that sensitivity analysis, no pun intended, because I am sensitive to our employees and what I like to see, but at the same time, making sure our residents are in the know on what we're doing here. So thank you, Madam Chair, appreciate it.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you. Just two quick things. One, Commissioner Eggers brings up a point about childcare, and as we're talking about a brand-new facility, we're consolidating all those people into one site. When we get closer to 2026, 2027, an employee survey to see if that's something that would be worth adding that space on that new site, contract it out to our club or whoever. But anyway, that could be an employee benefit that you're talking about as far as retention. Second thing is on the millage rate, we've been getting those emails, about please don't raise property taxes, and I've been replying to those, and we said, we're planning to reduce the millage rate, and he said he didn't care, his taxes were still going up, and so we went through his property tax bill, and that's the hard thing for, 10 different entities are taxing him on his property taxes, and so between the city and the JWB and the PSTA and the school board locally, the school tax that's the state mandated, all those different things. And out of those 10 entities, how many are reducing their millage rate? 2, And so to go through that, it's really hard and I take comfort that we are doing our part in reducing our millage rate and keeping our costs, but it's really hard to have that big impact that you want to have on someone's bottom line when 8 out of the 10 haven't reduced their millage rate at all, so their taxes are growing at whatever percentage minus the 3% cap and all those things. I mean, and property taxes in Florida are a really complicated jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, they are.
So anyway, just wanted to bring that point up. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Long.
Yeah. And to comment further on Commissioner Justice's comments and also on Commissioner Eggers, I think that critical to our role is messaging, because trying to understand tax policy, you practically need a PhD anymore. It is very, very complicated. And, we're here representing our citizens, and they've challenged us in our jobs to really understand what it is that we're doing. To me, it also requires us to be called to a higher understanding in terms of how you take that very complicated issue and boil it down to something that the average person can understand. And you know what? It's not really so much about the millage or taxes or whatever. As Barry tried to allude to, there are so many things that we end up paying for that are out of our control. It is just a sign of the times. I mean, it isn't our fault that our property values keep going up and up and up. That's a result of the enormous amount of interest people have to live in the state of Florida. When you get your trim notice, it's just comical to me how when you go down to the very bottom line, the increase in your own trim notice is what, $60 maybe? That's not a lot of money when you think about the bottom line of our budgets. Well, Well, there you go. But that also is on where you live, what part of the county, are you on the water, the value of your home. I mean, those aren't things we necessarily control. So when you talk about government growing or getting bigger, I don't know how you control that. When I left the Florida legislature, the annual budget was $72 billion. You know what it is today? I mean, come on. I didn't have anything to do with any of that. So, yeah, sure I did. You can't go wrong with law. There you go. I don't know who you're going to pick on when I'm not here. Especially you, David.
Can't go wrong with, oh my God. I think I've heard everything now.
Commissioner
Oh,
Eggers.
goodness. And maybe, what we can do, Barry, too, and I know there are some, I at least starting to hear some incentives for first-time buyers, I'd like to at least explore that in a workshop, the kinds of things, and some of them are maybe state-driven too. We've just given an exemption for seniors that the state allowed us to do, and we took that action. I'd just like to explore that, because I can tell you right now, first-time buyers, especially, I'm talking about young folks, 30, 35 years old, are having a very difficult time buying homes.
Even our employees, and there's so many programs, it's hard to link people up. We were even concerned, do our employees know how to find, because they qualify for for 80% and 120% of workforce housing, and we were trying to, how do they even know where to go to find those units? So we were trying to make a better connection for that. I think we can do more with that, but just helping people navigate that, that's hard. It's not that easy, and so I agree with that comment.
Well, nothing that you guys do and staff is easy. You guys always come up with challenges and work it through. So I just like to explore the concept of helping our first-time buyers that are in that 30-year-old, 35, the younger folks that we know it's important that they own a home.
The way in which my wife and I bought our first house was through a first-time home buyers program,
There you go.
but it was a few years ago.
So anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Commissioner Eggers. I'd like to have a presentation or just look into more what we can do to help first-time home buyers, because that's how you build personal and generational wealth. And we approve so many affordable housing projects here that which is good, but I just have this concern we're creating this permanent rental class that are just never going to be able to afford a house, and that just really bothers me. So I would definitely like to look further into what we can do on that. And then, Chris, I have one quick question for you.
Yes.
On your email here, which I have not had a chance to fully digest yet either, but it says that countywide general fund property tax revenues are growing 33.3 million from 24 to 25. Does that 33.3 include the new growth, or is that just the?
That includes the new growth and the proposed reduction. So
that's all of that?
Yes, sir.
Great. All right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, it looks like we are ready to go on to agenda review, and just an FYI, after we're done with that, I have one more thing that will be off camera that we have to talk about. We've kind of hashed this out before. I don't expect it to take long. That's my expectation. That doesn't mean I'll be correct, but my expectation is that I don't think it'll take too long. And so after we're done with our agenda review and any other discussions you have, we may take a 10-minute recess and then come back, but cameras will be off because it's administrative.
Can we do like 5 minutes right now?
Sure, if you want to do 10 minutes right now.
We don't need to do 10, but I don't want to miss the agenda review.
Okay.
I have to go away.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute restroom break. How's that?
Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Agenda review, you got several presentations, consent agenda, different reports for filing. The first substantive item is item 13, surplus equipment. This is copier printers and furniture. Item 14 is a modification to a grant agreement. This is taking in an additional $275,000 from Hurricane Idalia. Item 15 is an assignment, so we have to have our new mosquito control helicopter registered. So that's assigning that registration. Item 16 is award of bid to Central Controls for intersection video analytics platforms, $12 million over the next 36 months. Item 17 is an award of bid to Hubbard Construction. This is pavement preservation package number 1, and the areas are listed within your packet, $5.1 million.
Madam Chair, I just had one question.
Sorry, Commissioner.
No, so what are intelligent security systems, or what is an intersection video analytics platform? What is that? I'm sure there's a really cool things, but I just don't know what it is.
We sit there and look and see how many people are putting on their makeup, or, no, I don't know. She can tell you.
Good afternoon. Jill Silverboard, County Administration. So this contract is to replace existing video equipment that's used at the intersections, typically placed on a mast arm or at a traffic intersection in order to, it's just monitoring driver behavior.
Back to our main office, so they're at, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 18, award of a bid. This is for the 71st Street improvement, sidewalk improvements, drainage, roadway, $15.3 million. Item 19, award of bid to Petrotech Southeast. This is an ARPA fund project. This is 119th Street, gas mitigation and green space. This is down in the Ridgecrest community. It's 37 acres. Future could be a park, but with this funding, this will clean that up and make that into open space. Item 20, hazard mitigation grant. It's a point of contact form modification for the mast arm hardening project. Item 21 is receiving E911 trust fund monies from the state. Item 22 is rank and affirms with Wade Trim for engineering services for Klosterman Road and Pinellas Trail 30-inch force main replacement project, $874,000.
Question.
Sure.
This is Klosterman Road. I don't know if it's east or west of Alt 19. I had checked on, I'd gotten a couple calls about Klosterman Road being paved, but not until 26. So I was just wanting to make sure that I knew how that and this, I'm sure that they've talked and they know what's happening, but I want to make sure that we're not doing one thing and then, you know.
So the Jeremy Wald, Utilities Director, this project is a 30-inch force main that goes on Klosterman Road from Belter Road all the way to Alt 19 down to the Dunn treatment plant. So it's the entire replacement of the ductile iron force main.
But nothing west of Alt 19.
Nothing
on
west
Klosterman.
of Alt 19. So we go to the trail and then go down to the Dunn plant.
Right, so nothing west of Alt 19. That's the road paved area that I was asking about. Not you, but, so this pipeline goes on Klosterman and then goes south?
To the plant.
To the plant, okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Under the regular agenda, item 23 is award of bid to Ajax Paving for taxiway improvements out at the airport, 6.1. Item 24 is award of bid to Smith Industries for it's a fence company for permanent fencing at the airport. Item 25 is a lease with the TSA for office space there at the airport. Item 26 is accepting any and all rights and interest over real property from the Board of Trustees of College. This is for the Vet Tech building. Item 27's second amendment to an agreement with this firm. They provide architectural consulting firms for various projects. So even though the amount is moving the project up, it's actually paid for out of the project budgets of the various things that we assign them to for the various construction projects. Item 28, this is for an arts center application. Since it's above $10 million, this will allow CVB to evaluate it and bring a recommendation back to the TDC and ultimately to you. So this just authorizes them to do that review. Item 29 is the first amendment to an agreement with Birdsall Voss, I thought it was BVK, but for advertising and promotional services related to the CVB. First amendment amends the contract to $14.3 million. And I think that they're going through a review of the services that they provide right now. They're going to go out to bid, I believe. Item 30 is a MSTU for East Lake Recreation for bleachers serving the football fields. Item 31 is First Amendment to a lease. This is for the master lease between us and St. Petersburg Foundation. Item 32 is Affordable Housing Project, Indigo Apartments by Sunrise Affordable Housing Group. This is on Chestnut here in Clearwater, 208 multifamily units. So our amount of $7 million will be utilized for land trust for 99 years. Item 33 is a Rankin and Firms, an agreement with Operation PAR. This is part of the Pinellas Matters Hospital Bridge Program, 36 months, $5.5 million. 34, a resolution providing golf cart use on additional roadways. There's a map depicting the area. This is the Highland Lakes area. From sunrise to sunset in that area. Item 35 is community agreements. Okay, this comes back with package 3 for the mobile homes. And so this is that third package for Bel Air mobile home owners and Tropical Gardens, companion to item number 36. So this is the agreements, and then the award is item 36 to Cathcart Construction Company, $11.2 million. Item 37 is agreement with SHI International for IT equipment, $16 million. 38, agreement with to receive E911 trust monies from the state of Florida for next-gen technologies. 39 is the ranking of firms for paramedics logistics for our ambulance service, and a whole lot of money. As you can see, which was not unexpected and was built into our funding models, 14.6% increase in cost, which we knew was going to occur. Remember, we negotiated that modification halfway through to get their salaries up. They ate half the cost, we ate that. We knew when we come up to a new bid, they were going to see those salary costs reflected in those bids, and that's what we're seeing.
Item 40 is the county attorney is seeking approval for authorization through outside counsel to initiate litigation in the case of Pinellas County versus American Empire Builders. This was relating to the breaches of contract on Oakwood Drive Bridge replacement and the West Winds and Crosswinds Bridge replacements. Neither are completed, and we're still continuing with negotiations, but at this point we're seeking authority to initiate litigation. Number 41, I do not know whether Jewel will have reports or not. And item, I'm sorry, Barry, 42?
I will have a report.
And then 43, just to let you know, there's a resolution coming forward for the joint meeting for Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas.
Okay, over to public hearings, you have two items. The first is the hospital direct payment and low-income pool. So that's the public hearing on establishing that program. And then 45 are the tentative millage rates, the first public hearing.
Any questions? Commissioner Justice.
Thank you. Going back, item 19, the cleanup of that property in Ridgecrest or near our park. If we just get a little more back, is that going to basically get us to virgin earth?
It's gonna get it to where you could go build a park on it later. It's not gonna build the park.
Right.
But yes, we ran out of money. We would have loved to had taken that all the way to make that active space for the community.
Okay. And then the second on the CVB extension on BVK, and we're going out to a full review. I thought we had multiple marketing firms, and we were talking about going to one marketing firm to do everything, and I just don't remember how we landed on that.
The chair probably knows more about it than me.
Actually, I honestly, I don't, so I
Okay, so
apologize. We can get
BVK 's
information
been-
for you.
They do have multiple firms, but most of the work goes through BVK. But I think if I'm, and Jill, I don't know if you remember, they're going to go out to bid on this, correct? So this gets them to where they can go out to bid. So this is a bridge. But they have done the bulk of the work for them for a very, very long time.
Right, and that's where I was, because I know we had a smaller digital than we had them for the mass, but if we could just have Brian or whoever be prepared on Tuesday to kind of give a global perspective of how we're spending our marketing dollars with that and how that contract is lined up.
So Della will get with him and be, one, prepared to answer the question, but maybe we'll give you a little summary in advance too.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? No? Seeing none? All right, then what I would ask is if we could turn the TVs off, and we'll hopefully get through this pretty quickly.